finals, I give you...
ASL, Overgrowth, Pride.
And Pride's opponent down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Gaz, you can give it up. 4.
Sabre.
Right off the bat, I love Sabre's very, very unique decision here to build a supply depot up in the corner. It's already a little fun for me, man.
Yeah, I was actually just loving his unique decision to make the most obnoxious intro clip. I was just enjoying that because I can hear it gently through your sound every time. Makes me laugh.
Alright.
It looks like he's going for a gas opening. Miss Sabre down in the bottom right, left. I know my directions. He's getting that gas. Probably going to go for a Reaper or a Fast Factory. But it's not always that clean cut with Terran. They can miss out on any of these pieces and use it to switch out into a faster tech or a slower tech, depending on how they decide to go via fast harassment with Reapers or later harassment, perhaps with Hellions, with medevac drops and elevators, with Banshees even sometimes, because you can do that off one gas these days.
That's actually a nice placement for a supply depot, just because it is Terran versus Terran. And why not just give vision to your own base, just in case if there's a proxy or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely right. It means that if Pride had been trying to hide something in that corner, Sabre would know already. And Pride would be immediately at a deficit. As it is, he's not doing any of that. He's just going for a completely gasless opening. And I imagine we'll see a command center thrown down in just a moment. There we go. He's getting ready to put it down on his own natural, doing the most basic of basic builds that we've been seeing since the Wings of Liberty meta.
That was a nice little juke there from an unintentional juke from Sabre. You know, he like started stutter stepping down the ramp as the SCV decided to run inside the base, and so that panned out kind of poorly for him. But he will manage to pick up the SCV before it scouts the factory. Unfortunately for Sabre, though, that factory does go down about 50 gas late, which means it's about 30 seconds later than it could have been. Refinery mine's about 100 gas a minute, but that's largely because he wanted to invest in this hidden bunker up in the top portion of the map.
Yes, building that behind the mineral line of his opponent. With this Marine rallied out, his intention is going to be basically to... He's going to try and rush this, but it's not going to happen. Let's face it. This is not been a success. No, shut down so quickly by Pride. Good scouting there, out by yellow Terran, and he's not prepared to take any sass from his opponent.
That SCV was building that bunker by himself with like a broken leg and like 5 bullets in his face.
He's a hero, but he died a hero, unfortunately.
Can we give him an A for effort?
Yeah, we can, I think.
Yeah, he tried so hard. I actually see an armory coming down now for Sabre, and with this factory going on to the reactor, yeah, double Hellion production. Do you think this might be a Hellbat timing, guys? In TVT?
Let's see here.
I mean, it's a bit surprising in itself. Yeah, true. Actually, I forgot about that. But that was in the days when you didn't need an armory for the Hellbats. No, wait, you need to get transformation servos. That was harder.
I absolutely think that this is a Hellbat timing, exactly like you said. Scan, however, reveals everything. Beautiful scan from
just
Pride.
Barely that armory there.
Yeah, Pride knows exactly what is up, and it's a question of whether it's a little bit too late. His wall at the front is not completed, but there is currently no air support with this force of Sabre. So, if it has to run through the front. If Pride gets his wall down really quickly, he might be able to just stop it dead in its tracks.
I like that he's spreading out his units, but he wants to make Marauders from this barracks, and he's still making Marines. And that's just not, in my opinion, a great decision when you're already pulling 125 gas. Here come the Hellions right now. They can transform into Hellbats. We'll see if they do. I mean, Sabre definitely wants to push this issue, but I don't know that he can with that bunker and such a large number of Marines. Not at the moment.
1 or 2 Marauders might be kind of useful, though, with concussive shell. That doesn't, like, the Hellions don't have as free reign just because of that, you know?
And look at Pride's Marines. They're actually on the high ground right now. If Sabre morphs into Hellbats and pushes and targets down that bunker as fast as he can, I mean, that could actually end the game because these Marines need to be on the low ground, not upstairs.
They are so far out of position, and it's the exact moment Sabre's choosing to push. He's going to break straight through this bunker. There's no pull of the SCVs in time, but with good control from Pride, actually, chipping away at those Hellbats, the superior range of the Marines might be able to drive away Sabre's forces.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's gonna
lovely
target fire
control.
on that.
Really nice, actually. That was really sharp out of Pride.
So with all those, I mean, he had 4 Hellbats there, and I never actually saw any of those Marines. This attack is dead in the water. There's not actually much that Sabre does from here besides turtle and eco up. He's going
going a Banshee actually now.
Yeah, getting that cloak. Sabre loves his cloak banshees. We've seen this in previous rounds. It's a big favourite of his. And if Pride's been studying his opponent, this might be where he keeps moving the Marines to the high ground. It might be in his mind that he needs to be between his bases, because it's often the case that Sabre tries to pick his opponent apart in that way. But as it stands, Sabre's got a significant economic deficit. Even with his decent army supply, his command centre is halfway done at his natural compared to the finished orbital of Pride. He's got so much more income than his red opponent. And if Sabre doesn't make something happen, then Pride's going to move into the middle of this game with so much more money. Just all those options accessible to him that his opponent lacks.
Sabre is going to throw a scan down on the natural here. See tanks and plenty of Marines and missile turrets being dropped down at the natural, so that should
I wouldn't want to
prompt
push
the infantry
tanks.
to run into the main.
Oh, and he's putting up missile turrets too.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, this is especially how far he is behind in income as well. Like those Banshees were his best hope for like bringing him back into the game, doing significant damage. Like I mean, if he could have got those Banshees up in his main, and then maybe Hellion harass in his natural, but I mean that's way too late now for siege tank there, turret. I mean, you could harass maybe a little bit on the side. He's even got a Viking coming out, so Banshees are going to be.
He's just going to be chasing away. He's going to be chasing these Banshees away really effectively. And Sabre's going to be just chipping at the things he can get. He might try and snipe at a couple of depots. He's actually going to go for this tank, trying to force a scan out of his opponent there, and doesn't even quite muster that. It's just not happening at this point. Sabre's so disadvantaged in money, in units, in everything, and Pride looks so good as we move into the mid game. It's just everything is on point for him. Even his upgrades are good.
Yeah, with only 3 SCVs mining at the natural, I don't know. He's going to have to pull out something really tricky in order to get back in this game here.
Yeah, 55 SCV, 56-7 now for Pride to the 33 of Sabre. That's just getting that fast orbital. That gasless opening that Pride went for wasn't punished quickly enough by Sabre, and it means that Pride's been allowed to establish the strongest economy. I wouldn't mind getting a Marine and doing a bit of damage to the others, but this force getting shredded instantly. And oh, look at the Banshee as well. Banshee straight down.
Another Widow Mine. That'll help a bit, but
yeah, forcing a lot.
He does
of
have a lot of Hellions. I mean, if he moves up this ramp poorly, he could kill a lot of Marines.
I think that might be what Sabre's banking on. He's trying to force his opponent to scan as often as possible. He's trying to keep it so he can't deal with the Banshees as best as he wants. And he's hoping that Pride gets a bit rustled and has to move up the ramp in a way that doesn't favour him. But at the moment, Pride is looking so chilled. He just goes, oh, you're doing something. I don't care. I'm going to lift up into your main. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a successful attack. This must be frustrating. Not quite the one.
That actually went a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. He gets the Banshee for his troubles, but loses a couple of tanks, so Pride perhaps losing a bit of the army lead there, and he is going to have to be careful because these Hellions are very, very mobile. They're going to move out onto the map, and they're going to attempt to punish this weakness in the otherwise strong defenses of Pride so far. Blue Flame too is going to do work to those Marines.
Blue Flame actually could make the difference between victory and defeat here for Sabre. He comes in and gets a couple nice volleys off. This tank really needs to siege. If he gets a couple nice volleys, he could get into that SCV line, deal some serious damage, but yeah, it looks like he's just gonna.
He's scared.
Tent for a light contain, yeah.
It's really too bad he had no medevacs just to drop into the main there. So that's virtually unprotected against ground.
Well, Sabre tends to go for mech, and one of the unfortunate side effects of being a meching player is you don't tend to use medevacs very much. You just don't need them most of the time.
Yeah.
SCV
I
just
don't-
got wrecked.
Better an SCV than something you desperately need, though. Like, you know, that Viking for air control that just went down. But nice stim out from Pride. He's going to pick up a couple of Widow Mines, gets a couple of Hellions as well for not really any losses there. So Pride is, even with a little bit of a loss taken earlier, still looking very good. And he's got a great economy. Really great. He's got 75 SCVs. That's arguably too many SCVs.
Well, that's what paid for it, right? Like, Pride's whole army got wrecked in Sabre's
Yeah.
main, and a lot of times that's going to spell the game for you when your army just gets that crushed, but the reality is that Pride has had such a superior economy all game. Like, look at this, 76 workers right now, 48. Like, Pride could throw away his entire army again, and it wouldn't matter just because he has too many workers. When you have such a worker advantage over your opponent, you really can only lose the game by throwing away, like, 2 armies back to back.
Yeah, and so far Pride has not thrown away that second army, so he's looking pretty good. Got a missile turret in the main to chase away the Banshees, even as they do try and pick off a couple of spy depots. But this 3 Banshee hit squad is not doing what Sabre needs it to do.
Yeah.
He's lost 1 for the price of what? A building missile turret?
He needs to stunt that economy.
Oh, baiting it out as well. Big attack though from the Hellions going towards the 3rd base, doing good damage to the SCV line.
Couple workers, and now he's gonna get some of these Marines for, you know, 1 Hellion.
Oh, these SCVs.
Toasty. With the siege tank.
Ah.
Oh, I don't
That's
know
not
actually.
what he wants to do.
That was a bad decision, yeah.
I mean, he's going to take a lot of hits now. That slow Hellbats are going to take a lot more damage, but they can tank a lot more of it as well. And he kills off that siege tank. The Bios should be able to rip through the rest of these Hellbats nicely, but a lot of SCVs were killed off. Thankfully for Pride, he's got such a good economy that he still has 80 of them left, and more in production. This could almost start to become a problem for him. If he produces too many SCVs, he's not going to have enough army supply to deal with a big mech army that Sabre will be cooking back
Well,
on his side of the map.
I'd agree with that if the supply wasn't still at 140. You know, as you get closer to max, it does
him
become
time.
a little dangerous, but
Give him time.
it's good if you're always trading, and that's exactly actually what Sabre is doing to Pride. Like, Pride wants to trade forces because he has so many workers that, exactly what you're saying, like, he can't make a huge army. Because of course max in StarCraft is 200 supply in total. So because 80 of that supply is tied up in workers, he can only make 120 military. But Sabre just keeps like attacking, and that makes sure that Pride is never hitting that 200 max military. Instead,
Yeah.
he just keeps losing guys and easily reproducing them, whereas Sabre is having a really hard time producing. I mean, I guess I don't mind too much. They are only Hellions. He's kept all his tanks alive, notably, and he's now up to 6. So, all things considered, Sabre's position isn't abhorrent right now.
No, it's not. Something that I did notice was a moment ago, Pride's income was down in the 1400s, whereas Sabre's was at the 2500 mark. So even with that deficit, the mules on Sabre's side of the map being positioned in the right places is more than making... Oh, losing that tank there actually to that Widow Mine in the middle of the map. But the good macro control of Sabre is making up for the actual macro deficit that he should be at.
Oh, those infantry gotta get there quick because these Hellions might. If they get to that second expansion there. I say you should just go in and suicide them. And
Oh no,
That's
Hellbats.
no, why are you doing Hellbats again?
No, the Hellbats are good. There's no tanks here. You're gonna tear through this
True,
bunker.
but the SCVs can get away a lot easier
If
now.
he actually gets that, no, so many of these are gonna die. The Hellbats are ripping through them.
But he doesn't manage to get the command center. If he was going to convert everything into Hellbats, I like targeting a building. The SCVs, on the other hand, well, he's going to run up the ramp now and actually could make them pay. He's going to get the Marines, and here we
Or you
are
can
lying
surround-
up.
yeah.
He's topped up!
Oh my god.
There we go. Suicide them.
No!
He does it.
Oh god. 32 SCVs killed in that couple of volleys, and even with the massive losses sustained to the Hellions, Pride has taken so many more to his SCVs. 32 going down, actually going to a worker deficit for the first time in the entire game.
Actually, 42 workers killed to 1.
That's insane.
Losing all those Hellions, though, for that last like series of like 2 volleys wasn't worth it. He only added another like 6, maybe.
Did he? Okay.
I'm not
I
really
was
sure.
curious because
Yeah, he didn't get many in that last set of volleys where he lost like the last like 9 Hellions.
Yeah. Pride is definitely the bust through the third base, actually, and I don't think this was a good engagement.
This is great for Sabre.
Yeah. Saber's tank spread is so good for him at this point. The Hellions are splashing, they're doing great damage to the bio forces. Pride, every time he attacks, he runs into so many tanks and has to push so far through the nice spread of tanks that Saber's able to trade cost effectively every time. He's lost nearly 4,000 fewer resources than his opponent.
The big problem with that engagement was actually that there was, so all the units crammed between the missile turret that was right below, it was like right above this refinery. It's like right, I'm showing Ray here for you guys.
Yeah.
And so all the bio crammed into this little tiny choke in this gap, and like all these tanks were just like, oh hey there bio in this narrow choke, let me just chew you up, spit you out, and you can lay there as a corpse. Like all that bio just got shot into a meat grinder, and Sabre couldn't have asked for anything better. I think Pride kind of went into panic mode when he realized he had lost all those workers, and that wasn't the right reaction. He needed to keep his cool, take a fourth base, and maybe go for some drop play at the natural expansion, for instance, or fly behind the third. There was only one turret there to stop him, but yeah, that was just, he threw his whole army away for a couple of Hellions and a tank, one tank.
Yeah, it was just not cost effective for Pride at all. He lost way more than he gained. And Sabre's, I love that Sabre's barracks has been here for the entire game, just being as annoying as possible. Now actually finally denying the fourth base at the 23.5-minute mark. But Pride's going to be able to establish that fourth as he wants. But in doing so, half of his army's been torn out of position, and Sabre has got the map vision, he's got the map control with these Hellions. He's going to attempt to make another push towards the opposite end, and he's attempting to split his opponent apart, just like a Protoss might do with warpins at opposite end of a map.
Sabre's also opting to go for, he just added on 4 starports, and that brings him to 5. We see 1 Banshee on the way, but I'm thinking we could see some battle cruisers here in the next minute or two.
Yeah. You've, I see you've watched Sabre's games before.
I have watched games.
Yes. Always fun. Sabre does have a bit of a penchant for the battle cruiser, and hopefully we will get to see a couple of those in a moment. But that's kind of an opportunity for Pride in and of itself, because going battle cruiser is such a heavy investment for anybody that it gives a bit of a window for an opponent to strike and do some real damage.
There's a massive tank line out of Sabre right now, and the Hellions, he's doing a really good job staying mobile with him as he continues to aggressively expand. What I don't like here from Pride is that Pride absolutely needs to be denying things like this expansion in the bottom left-hand corner. Pride needs to hold both Zelnaga towers at every moment. And, you know, the Hellions come in, sure, kill a Marine, then take that Zelnaga tower again. Pride's neglecting some of these smaller, more, you know, finesse elements, and it's causing him to not have awareness of what Sabre is actually doing.
Yeah, we saw a player earlier in the ASL called Armadorn, and whilst he has been knocked down now, one of the things he was just stellar at map vision. He'd produce most of his depots in the early game just around the map, and he always knew if he was being attacked in a TVT, because the Banshee had to go over one of them eventually. Every time, and he got a really long way off the back of that. It might even have been Pride who knocked him out in the end, but it was really, really strong play. I think the only thing that beat him in the end was unfavourable engagements, which we've seen Pride take a few off today as well.
Looks like Pride will see these missile turrets and a lot of medevacs go down. Sabre immediately lifts up his base and decides to go for a counterattack.
Yeah, he's rushing into that third base now with all of the Hellbats, once again, Blue Flame Hellbats, and it's very, very difficult to do anything about this with just Marauders, because these Hellbats, they hit like a train. We could even see the orbital go down if he decides to get that big volley off. Where is it? Sabre?
Ah, he can do it, yeah.
Doesn't
I was looking for that as well.
Yeah. I think he would have almost one-shot that. I don't think it would have got healed in time, certainly. And even now, there's a bit of a chance it could burn down as these Hellions move up the ramp towards the rest of the bio forces. No, just go past.
61 workers at this base right now. We have never seen an SCV massacre quite.
Oh gosh.
The damage is real. 30 more SCV go down. Pride is back down to a mere 64. I don't know how you can possibly macro properly with only 64 SCVs.
He needs to save that command center. He traded like a full mining base for Sabre's base that he just started there.
Yeah.
Like and now he's not paying attention. This command center is actually gonna burn down.
I think he's gonna lose this. I'm just watching it. I really think this is going down.
Are these the saving SCVs? Oh, there we go.
Yes. Okay, he's got it. Oh, that makes me feel a bit better about things. Pride attempted to counter-attack. Tippets off the center tower, which is pretty good. Obviously, you don't want your opponent knowing exactly where you are at all times. Zalnaga towers are bad enough, but this huge Banshee fleet, not the battlecruisers that we thought we might see, it's going to be so annoying with the cloak, forcing out scan after scan, all the already limited economy of Pride. He can't afford to be not spending these on meals.
Yeah, he really needs to get a Raven or something because there's been Widow Mines, there's been Banshees. You know, Raven's a nice support anyway.
Yeah.
And
They really are.
could make quick work of those Banshees too with the Seeker missile.
True. Very true. Pride doing his best to pick off as many of those Banshees as he could, but just not having the scans. Sabre's control has been so far absolutely on point, and he's lost very, very few units to the repeated scans, whilst counter-attacking towards the fourth with a Hellion run by of his own. It's weird to think that in the early game, Pride looked so dominant. He looked like there was no way he could lose at about the 8 to 9 minute mark, and Sabre's managed to pull it back to an extent that he's actually the one looking strongest.
It was his Hellion. Like he at least I don't know if he could, but Pride felt like he could move out because of those Hellions. He definitely could have beaten him early game, I think, but because of his mind games, right? He made him feel contained, and he had to stay at his base, else his SCVs would get blown to shreds, basically. And yeah,
It's a really good point, John. Like, Pride has not been nearly as active as he should have been with Marine, Marauder, Medevac, tanks. Like, it's a super mobile composition compared to, you know, macking Siege tank, Hellion, Banshee. So I'm a little, and he didn't even mix in Banshees until just now. One of the things though, that I really consider as the tipping point was when Pride sent all of those units down into this meat grinder in the bottom right-hand corner.
oh, this is awful.
Lost so much army there and allowed Sabre to take the big.
And it's happening again. Pride losing so much army attacking into this PF, and actually not even, I don't think. No, he is just about going to be able to pick it off, I think. Yeah, he gets it, but at what cost? At what cost? Because the Banshees are in his main. They're ripping through all of his production. If he loses all of his production, he doesn't get any more units. And having just lost as many as he did, this is not something that Pride can do. He can't trade this away. Two Vikings.
Just siege his tanks at that planetary there, and just wait it out. I guess it would have been repaired, but
Well, even when you're forcing your opponent to repair, that's money that they're spending on something they don't need to be spending on. So it's worth it. It's, you know, they're not mining; they're actually spending money to fix something. The Banshees are killing everything in the main base of Sabre, and Sabre's positioned himself towards the fourth base as well with this tanks, with these Hellions. This is actually really brutal. Sabre's just stuck himself down here. If he defends the tanks with the Hellbats, then the Bio has to push into Hellbat range.
The DPS plus 3 Banshees is actually outrageous, which they're just destroying and destructing. He killed all the supply depots in mere seconds, and now Pride is probably supply locked for the rest of this game. I actually think that we will see GG before Pride's numbers turn back to white.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Even with these Vikings coming in to support against the Banshees, you know, they're doing what work they can, and they have so little energy, so the Vikings could actually kill off a lot of them. But Pride is pretty weak, and he's bio against mech as well, which isn't really where you want to be. You don't want to be bio against mech unless you really have you're outclassing your opponent in micro, because mech is outright stronger. It wins the fight. You have to be able to position and outflank and outsmart your opponent, and at this point, Sabre's the one who's outsmarting Pride.
this is actually a good time to attack here, right before the planetary comes up.
Of course, the cancel on that gets the lift, and it's even going to be able to. No, it doesn't go for the Vikings, going for that command center instead. Sabre's trying to heal that up. I think that's a good decision. He doesn't want to lose his macro lead, even though it is quite substantial by this stage. It's a lot of those Vikings though for basically no cost.
He really did. He got a lot. He got 3 Banshees. He got all those Vikings. These Hellions will enough for us to support them, but
Bio extended without the medevacs.
sad that Pride's numbers turned white because Sabre killed enough stuff. He actually hasn't built any supply depots yet, but
Sabre's even taking the top left.
I think
Right
he may be being a bit cheeky by this point. Is that no, yeah, 2 PFs on that base, just cause. Not even taking the gold, not even taking his opponent's gold. That would be a lot more cost effective. But no, Sabre doesn't care.
Yeah, why not?
I love that these turrets are going down and he won't see that. Oh no, he's going to mine. And now he's like,
No.
God damn it.
Okay, that was it.
GG!
Wow. Okay guys, here we are on merry-go-round and spawning in the bottom spawn, the best spawn because of its great gas efficiency. In blue, from Integrity Gaming, our first Terran player.
Pride.
John, would you be so kind as to introduce our second player as he slightly VMs his opponent?
Yeah, I see that. In the top right corner, we have spawning as Red Terran.
Sabre.
2v2 on merry-go-round, guys. Damn my
You just
throat.
know that Sabre's been waiting to use that pun for at least a week.
That's terrible.
It was painful, but in the best way. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Pride's actually going for a late gas. Unlike the previous game where he went for no gas before command center, getting that later gas shows that he's probably still going to expand pretty quickly, or get a fast-ish kind of tech lab reactor kind of thing. But he's still probably going to be expanding in short order because he's got a lot of money banked up. Why would you not? Just an efficient build. Just efficiency, guys.
Looks like both players will scout out this much desired location in the top left-hand corner of the map.
They both wish that their opponent was there.
Yep, they do.
It's just the enemy spawn location of their hearts, but not of their heads. Pride chucking down that expansion on the natural. He does like his macro play, and it is often said that the TVT, the advantage favors the player who goes for the tech path fastest, so the one who gets up to the factory, to the starport nice and quick. And Sabre is certainly that guy. He often does go for that, and right now getting a reactor up, going for double Reapers, he's intending to put some very, very heavy pressure to his opponent. Pride's not going to have that many Marines to deal with this, but with a reactor
Oh, he's
nearly
gonna see it.
complete,
So that should give him plenty of warning.
yeah, he saw the double Reaper, he saw there was no command center. At this point, Pride's got to have some inkling of what's going on.
Yeah.
He's getting his... Well, he's just going to make Marines, isn't he? I think he's just going to pump out more Marines. I'm not sure what else there is to do against this. I'm not a Terran player, so I don't know how I would respond in this situation, but I think the ideal place to be is to have a Hellion. So I think that's what we'll see. Instead of a switch over onto the reacted Hellions, we'll see a fast Hellion just rushed out from Pride as a defensive measure more than anything. But with 4 Marines against the Reapers, it's going to come down to micro from Sabre to make sure he doesn't lose too much just right off the bat.
Yeah, now 6 Marines. I mean, I would probably get a bunker at each mineral line if I was him, or not at each, that'd probably be overreacting. Just because if he did continue with Reapers, like, I mean, they can just hit, fall back, heal, hit, fall back, heal. Or get the Hellions out as quickly as possible, one or the other.
With Marine DPS though, it comes a time when you can basically just burst down Reapers. They do have a mighty 60 health, but Marines hit pretty hard and pretty fast, so you can just burst down the Reapers as quickly as possible, and if you focus fire well, they don't get a chance to heal. Don't like the Pride to bring his Hellions out though. That's a bit of a timing, and Sabre takes full advantage.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Super cool build out of Sabre, actually. So his goal here is to pick off some Marines and follow up with a 2-core Banshee, I believe. We'll see. He loses a Reaper. He hasn't actually killed a single Marine yet, so that's pretty bad for him. But here go the 2 starports in the bottom left, and I mean, I love it if he had gotten some Marines, but as of right now, all the Marines are still alive, and they're going to come down and actually go for these Reapers.
Yeah, attempt to pick up as many of those as possible. And the Hellion follow-up is going to mean that he... I thought he wasn't going to get that Reaper, but he does just about manage it. There's only one of Sabre's Reapers left on the map from the 4 that were initially out there, and Pride's economy is looking great, but for how long will it keep looking that way? Because Sabre's got these starports in the proxy location, the prime proxy location behind his opponent's base. He's going to rally those into the main, and unless Pride is ready, this could be absolutely devastating.
I mean, at the same time though, Pride is about to drop 8 Marines in Sabre's base. And
That
what
is
does
true.
Sabre have? Like,
Yikes,
Sabre has
yeah.
nothing. I think Sabre is just gonna die right now.
I actually don't think he will. He's a clinger. He hangs on for dear life. I mean, he's burying these Widow Mines, which is going to be really irritating.
Oh my
he doesn't
God.
see them? Oh my
Okay, well that just saved the game.
Yep.
These Hellions are going to come in though. They might do quite a bit of work here.
Sabre
Yeah.
is the Slinger, man. Stage 5 Slinger.
Oh yes. He hoards victories. That's just how he does it. But these Hellions are doing great work for Pride. He's gonna get a lot of damage deployed. 5 SCVs down already. Gonna pick up a few Marines here, and that's basically all of the defenses that Pride. I was so
was really
concerned
close.
there. Yeah, I thought that the. I love how he's trying to stop the Hellions actually being dropped by basically instantly getting a surround off using the SCVs just as a flanking measure. And behind this, getting out those Banshees, not going for Cloak this time, and he's just ready to send those straight into the main, and Pride is not ready to receive them.
No, he doesn't have an engineering bay. He has 2 Marines. Oh my God, he has 2 Marines.
He has absolutely no AA.
When these arrive, that's going to be very bad. Pride is going to be crying.
Yeah, he has to start a Viking right away, and if Sabre makes 2 Vikings, the game actually ends.
Yeah.
But I don't think
But-
Sabre's going to.
No, the Banshees are being pulled. Sorry, the SCVs are being pulled straight down to the natural. The 4 Marines are not enough to deal with 2 Banshees, and every SCV in the main, except this one's hiding in the gas, has been killed off. Banshees are quite good. Don't know if anyone's ever observed this. They hit pretty hard.
But he needs to
and
with a natural.
Sabre doesn't need to be a StarCraft master to win that engagement.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the units lost tab now, and it's almost double for Pride.
God. He just doesn't take cost-effective fights so far. I mean, he's just more and more Banshees coming up for Sabre, and Pride still has no real way to receive them. He's getting the eBay down, but it's not ready. He's not there.
There's a Viking, and there's nothing to deal with that Viking from Sabre's end. So, like, with the Viking on the field, Sabre needed to get damage in. He can force some scans right now, which is going to be cute, but he had an opportunity to kill, like, all of the workers at the natural, but he just never moved his Banshees to the natural. Now he's going to get a few, and that's cute, but, like, Pride has 3 basic he has a third command center about to come in here, so these SCVs being lost are not the biggest deal. Sabre doesn't have like mid-game tech. He's gonna if he goes down. He doesn't have stim. He doesn't have. Well, is he gonna go for mech? That's a whole separate question. If he's going for mech, he doesn't have a. He's not making any siege tanks. He doesn't have an armory. Tech-wise, Pride's way ahead. Economically, Pride in the long run is ahead because of 3 command centers. Right now, Sabre's getting some damage in, which is nice. But I'm definitely concerned for the later stages here when Pride does recover.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember that even when Pride was ahead last game, Sabre managed to turn it around, pull it back, and spin it back in his own favour, so it doesn't do well to count him out yet, but
That was a
Pride
clutch
does
shot.
have that chance. He's not out of this by any stretch, and these Vikings chasing down the Banshees is going to really help in securing the safety of his precious SCVs, although mining with those is always good. Just sat in the middle of London.
He almost took out that supply depot. He was doing what work he could do with that Banshee. Yeah, I think it was at about 10 hit points before the Vikings came in. The SCVs repaired it. So that was a nice little save there. But yeah, the Hellions didn't do enough work, like killing off workers, as the Banshees did. Like 28 workers killed to 12.
The thing
Yeah.
is, Pride is gonna make those so easily. What I think, like remake those. What I think would be really cool is from Sabre, while Pride is spending all this money remaking workers and getting his economy back in order, Sabre can actually capitalize on the fact that right now he has a worker lead and go for a really cool timing, which that's what I'm kind of expecting, and it looks like it might be like a Hellbat Banshee timing where even if Pride has a Viking, there's gonna be so much stuff between the Hellbats, the Widow Mines, and the Banshees that Sabre just might run over Pride before Pride can like fully reestablish himself. And Pride notably has 5 mules right now that he actually hasn't dropped. So stuff like that I don't feel like are mistakes that Pride can afford to make right now.
There's actually a little engagement going on just outside the, pretty much outside the third untaken as yet of Sabre, and Pride came off the worst, certainly. All of his units now bailing back home, but the Hellions are already there because they're so quick, and there's so many Banshees as well. There's actually landed Vikings there. I thought they were going to get killed by the Banshees. Not quite, but even so many Hellions running into the natural, picking off a bunch of the SCVs that Pride's worked so hard to rebuild, and the scans, even with the scans, the anti-air is it's doing what it can, but even with being whittled down, it's doing the damage he needs to keep his opponents suppressed. 43 SCVs to 19. Pride's money, whilst good with those 3 command centers, is not enough, and Sabre's hitting a really strong timing.
I completely agree. What Pride needed to have caught there was he needed to catch the Banshees out in the middle of the map because they had no protection. You know, the Hellions aren't going to protect the Vikings. So if the Vikings caught the Banshees out in the middle and chased them down, shooting them the whole way here, it would have been fine. But not at all what happened. Sabre gets a fantastic engagement. Like you said, man, John, he destroyed all the SCVs that he had been working to rebuild. Sabre's in a really, really good spot now.
He feels confident enough to build 2 more command centers, so and like by all means, because yeah,
Sabre always feels confident enough to build 2 more command centers.
Yeah,
he never doesn't. It's just his way. He's a mysterious being.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah, he does have a very kind of, he has a style, put it that way, and he tends to basically do a 1 base order and follow it up with more command centers than anybody else makes in the entire rest of games. Just a standard thing. Oh, losing the Viking there actually. Not quite on target there. He always goes mech too.
I really think Pride really needs to like block off this choke here, because these Hellions, like, I mean, he's so vulnerable every time he leaves his base.
Yeah.
They're becoming a huge problem.
They've been a huge problem for so long, and again, Pride hasn't dealt with them adequately. It's just not been something that he's been that focused on. And even with this pretty good concave at the top of the ramp, if the Hellions move up here, obviously they will be chased away, but they can get away because they're Hellions. And Sabre is just seizing the mid game, seizing the macro advantage. He's even got the upgrade advantage at this point with the blue flame that's going to be coming up soon. He'll use the Hellions, as we've seen before, for harassment, for tanking in actual defensive engagement should he be taking any, and he'll just keep Pride suppressed whilst he takes the map in bases.
Yeah, once again, he's leaving an open choke. Hellions could go up the ramp. He has no army back at home other than like 1 bunker full. But it looks like they decide not to.
Actually, a really big drop going out for Pride now, heading towards the main base, but Sabre's identified this. He knows there's nothing really there. I think he might have just got away with it. No, I don't think they're down the ramp. Okay, losing the mirror. That's good too, but a huge doom drop rolling to the main of Sabre. Gonna pick off 1 of those extra command centers. Sabre was perhaps a little bit brave with that one, and there really isn't that much at home to defend this at this point. Even with the Thors waddling their way up. Could he take this many Thors? Not with the Hellions.
No, but it's going to make escaping dangerous.
Yes, so close. That was so close.
Oh, that would have been kind of fun to watch them all mix.
Wow. No, that was
Everyone get to the Nanovax for safety.
Boom. My heart was in my mouth for a moment there, but that was very, very clutch. Pride getting 2 command centers for his trouble and getting out with almost all of his forces intact. So that was a really, really great decision for him there. Making the right choice, it seems. And even with that, the weird thing is he doesn't have the lead. Because even taking out 2 command centers, he's got 3 command centers to his opponent's 4. Sabre just builds command centers. When you're mech, you have spare minerals, so he just builds command centers. There's no reason not to. It's a good use of his money.
Oh, Widow Mines. Only a Medivacs.
Okay.
That now.
Yeah. Not quite what Pride needed at that point. Doesn't have that Viking for the air superiority, but there's still a lot of Banshees out there. Actually looking right into the scan there, but I wasn't sure who that engagement favoured for a moment, but it looks like Pride is going to come out the stronger, getting a lot of the Banshees there, and forcing a second scan out of Pride, which you again cannot afford to be spending. And the Hellions immediately going for a counterattack.
Yeah, as I said before, I really think what would solve a lot of these problems is just blocking off that choke and getting a couple Ravens. Like those Ravens are gonna, the Banshees aren't gonna be as a problem anymore. He's not gonna be using scans for nothing. Like he could use them for mules, which could help him expand quicker because he would have that extra income. And then also, there's always Seeker Missile or Point Defense Drone, which completely stops the Banshee attacks.
That's a really good point, John.
I really think like the Banshee or Ravens, and just blocking off this choke. Just maybe even if he really wanted to, just move these barracks. I don't know. Just build something at that choke just to block it.
As a Protoss player, the point defense drone is the kind of unit ability spell thing that I'm most happy is underused, because it's really, really good, and it scares me that one day Terrans might learn to use it properly, and then I'll have to actually use Stalkers really, really well, rather than just blink them.
It's true, actually. Yeah, that's one of the units that does affect his Stalkers, and yeah, point defense drones is I feel too, a very underused. I remember someone using it effectively against me, and it was awful.
I saw Rough versus Sevilo, but this is not that TPT. Right now, Pride is trying to bust through these Hellbats and actually getting a Thor pretty nicely, but he's going to lose the Medevacs. He should. I really don't think that's a good fight. He might get a Thor.
Yeah.
That is a lot of Thors. You are correct there. More Thors than I would feel comfortable fighting, certainly. Surprising amount of Thors, in fact. Sabre, big fan of the mech, as I'm sure you all know by this point. And he's just going to keep pumping out the big, heavy-hitting units. He was born to be a Protoss, but he's in denial. Just his way. He tried.
These medevacs are so low. It's like bound to happen at some point if Pride doesn't repair them.
Yeah. He really needs to move these SCVs from his main to his expansion there. Getting all clumped up. Imagine how he's getting into that mineral line.
I actually kind of don't want to. Sabre's two Banshee producing tech lab starports have just been sat there for the entire game, pumping out more and more flying units for him to use every single time. We've had Banshees, we've now got Medevacs, we've had Vikings, and Pride really ought to deal with those, because that's production that's just free. It's on his side of the map. He should be taking this. As it is, he's on his opponent's side of the map, and he could be giving away more than he's killing at this point, with a huge number of Hellions rushing into the natural to defend against this force of Pride. He might be able to put us away from this, but it's a risk.
What Pride needs to be doing, and needed to be doing all game, find a hole in your opponent's defense. But like even right now, he's staying too close to these Hellbats. You don't fight them. You just keep running and keep shooting stuff while they chase you. And then like right now, for instance, this force that Pride has in his main natural expansion should be like attacking the top left-hand corner or the natural expansion. You pick apart your opponent. You make the slowness and powerful nature of their units work against them by dragging them this way and dragging them that way. But Pride instead has often been just trying to fight toe-to-toe. And like you said in the early stages of this match, Ben, mech will win. Mech is stronger. Mech is slower, however. And so if you use your speed to never let the mech fight you, but to keep attacking your opponent, that's how you defeat it.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't just, as soon as he saw that army, just run up into the main and then take out the command center and get out of there, or kill the workers in there and get out of there. Like he kind of he kept stopping and attacking. I don't even know, like some Hellbats. Again, he could have outran them, and so yeah, you really got to use like the mech's like speed, how slow they are.
Yeah, it's all about exploiting the weaknesses, the relative weaknesses of a composition against itself. But right now, Pride to let his opponent get right where he wants to be. There's a lot of Thors and a lot of Hellbats pushing into the third base of Pride. Going to kill off this repair be damned. All of the SCVs will be killed off. Sabre's totally cool with that. And this meager bioforce of Pride isn't going to be enough to deal with so many Hellbats, so many Thors.
This is another one. Like, don't fight. You just go for base trade. Like, Pride really wants to fight mech. And I feel like that's actually his biggest detriment, is that he wants to fight too much. And it will make him lose this game and the last game. And if he doesn't switch up his strategy, he's trying to fight this mech, Pride's going to find himself getting clean sweep by Sabre.
And I mean, as you see straight away, so looking at our Terran in the bottom left, let's go for the bottom left first. In the blue trunks, once again from Integrity Gaming, we have
Pride.
yeah.
Oh, and me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Go on.
You did blue, right?
Yeah, I did blue.
All right, red. In the top right-ish corner, we have the red Terran.
Sabre.
Yeah.
And
The really interesting thing about our red Terran in the top right-hand corner is he's not really all in the top right-hand corner. Some of him is, in fact, very much kind of in the bottom and to the middle. Dressed in red and producing a Reaper, somewhat suspiciously near his opponent's base.
this might be a very short game.
It could be.
It's it's almost done, like almost
my
the same
God.
time as the first Marine.
What if the supply depot dies?
Okay, he's not getting a bunker. That's good.
Nope.
I know, doesn't get it. Does not
That's
get
good.
it.
That's he's gonna help a little.
Yeah,
He's
but
gonna
not
back off and heal though.
enough.
This Marine needs to. He needs to be MVP. But
It fails miserably, unfortunately.
Doesn't quite get it. No, you should fear the Reaper. Reapers are a scary unit. Sabre picking off the first Marine means that in a moment we're going to see 2 Reapers versus 2 Marines, and not only do the Reapers win that fight pretty convincingly, but they heal a lot faster than Marines do. That is to say, at all. So they're going to be just chipping away. Okay, 1 Marine down. Reapers looking pretty strong at this point.
But he didn't target the second Marine. That's really big. You really want to get that second Marine down. It allows you to cascade much farther. But no, the third Marine spawns. And that gives Pride the opportunity to potentially target fire down. This Reaper, beautiful supply depot block, but it's not enough. The Reapers do manage to escape out of the top portion. It's going to target fire down the SCV, but still, in the end.
No way! That Reaper's on 1 health.
Dude.
I can't believe it. That was so good. That was so well played from Pride, and it still wasn't quite enough. Sabre's cheese is looking so good at this point. Gonna move in. Yeah, that Marine is done for. And even with the loss of a Reaper, I think it's gonna be overwhelming. More and more Reapers are just gonna keep on coming out from Sabre. Losing 1 Reaper, you know, it's not ideal, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And behind it, he's keeping producing workers. He's gone back into his SV production, getting a factory behind this to tech up a little, and overall looking good, advancing into the mid game with his decent pressure established. Pride's a little bit on the back foot. I'm not gonna lie. He's just
The good news
having
is
to
that these, Marines are produced faster than Reapers, but I mean those Reapers can just pull back and heal all they want. Continue to be a nuisance, and they can also just run around. Like, it's good that he built the supply depots back there. At least it eliminates some of the pathing that he can take.
Yeah, it's really smart actually. I loved that. When he put that down, I was just like, no way, that's so good. And I'm pretty disappointed he didn't get more out of it straight away. But even so.
Sabre literally could win this game right now, but like he's just content taking little wins, which you know is okay. But he literally has had multiple opportunities to close this game out, just by needing to if he had pressured more with Reapers. But he very often would allow 1 Marine to live in a situation where the reinforcing Marines were going to arrive in mere seconds, and that prevented him from being able to continue the aggression. So. It seems like he's done with the pressure, but I actually it's a tough call for me to say who's ahead. Sabre, he does have the command center, but Pride's going to have the opportunity to push here in a moment. And I don't like what is Sabre going to have to deal with Cloak Banshee, for instance? That's going to do even decently well against it.
He's going to struggle quite significantly. Reaper's not known for their ability to shoot up. He has got his own starport on its way, so by the time the Banshee actually arrives on, at Sabre's base, he may have a Viking or a Raven should he choose to open that way, and he is actually producing that Viking, so he's going to be pretty much okay to deal with this. We'll be spending some of his scans, though, which isn't really where you want to be, but he has seen that Banshee with his barracks as it moves out, and that's going to mean that he knows that it's on his way. He's got his eBay, and he can produce turrets in his mineral lines to do kind of an acceptable counter, which is what Pride was lacking in the previous game. He wasn't able to get away with that, and he lost so many SCVs that he needed desperately because of it.
Yeah, he saw that Banshee with those Reapers, and now Sabre's going to be producing Vikings.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he can still do damage with the Banshee because of the cloak, but how much energy it has, like, I mean, it's very limited.
It's something that I've noticed in a few previous games as well, actually. We've seen Sabre get these kind of big Banshee plays, and there's so many more options for Sabre to be forcing out the energy. But right now, he's forcing something quite different as he rushes into the main base and actually loses a very significant force. Really kind of out of character bad engagement for Sabre, not trading effectively at all, and putting himself at a pretty significant deficit.
Yeah, it looks like Sabre's taking a different route here. He's getting more Vikings. Again, this Banshee has, like, the clock is ticking.
Yeah, every single time.
On that refinery there.
It's burning that cloak energy, getting a couple of kills, but not only one kill in fact. And one kill is not enough to pay for a Banshee. You need a bit more than that. Just a little bit more. Sabre's
and it's about to goodbye Banshee.
Sabre has landed a barracks on his opponent's island base and produced a marine just in case Pride tries to fly a command center out there.
That's great. That's a great move.
Ever.
I don't know if you guys witnessed this in an earlier ASL cast, but I think it was Canary actually. He built 3 proxied Tech Lab starports on his opponent's island base, went for a 13-minute 9 Banshee all-in, and he had to fly his own SCV out there, so he had to put it in a medevac in his own base and fly it out before building these proxied starports. It was one of the most ridiculous builds I've ever seen. It was so good. It nearly won.
Right now, these Vikings unable to find their what's the word I want here? It's a Q word. Their quarrel. Their quarry.
Quarry.
Quarry. Is it quarry?
It is quarry.
It's the word
Target of the hunt.
Yeah, yeah. You use it with like quail and stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like quail hunting.
Yeah.
I worked on a quail farm.
I mean, I've never been quail hunting,
Really?
but it's something that we're taught
Yeah.
from birth here in England. It's just how we roll. And they didn't find the medevacs.
What's a quail farm like?
I have no idea. I don't
It's
think we
awful.
farm quail, to be honest. I'm not sure what quail are. They're like little birds, but I don't know what the point of it
They're the least intelligent of any bird I've ever seen.
is. Seriously, I mean,
Yeah.
pigeons are pretty thick, so
It was an interesting experience. I'm glad I worked there because I came out with good stories. Really interesting.
We're gonna need to hear
Yeah.
one of those later. But right now, Pride is making his way across the map, and he's got the cell. Nagatari, he's got full vision. He's gonna feel very comfortable. He knows he can always lift up into that medevac and boost away. He's not gonna be chased down by any Mutalisk or anything. There's no chance of Viking is ever gonna catch a boosting medevac. So, but overall, it seems like Pride is just content to take the Zelnaga Tower, go home, take his third base. He's actually got a faster third than Sabre, which is something that I really like, but it's only by a couple seconds. So.
yeah. And Sabre will inevitably have 3 to 4 command centers following this up, so it's really only a matter of time. Going back to a point you just made about the boosting medevacs, how did anyone ever drop anything before medevac boost existed? How did that happen? Like, medevacs just seem so slow now, and
You gotta remember, like, medevacs were insanely overpowered when HOTS first came out, and then we got insanely good at dealing with faster medevacs. And so now Wings of Liberty medevacs just seem like a joke, but
yeah, it's just like, how did you do anything with these? How were we scared of drops? These
It's
do absolutely
adapting
nothing.
and surviving, basically.
Yeah. Like, it's so much harder in every league every time.
This
Like,
might
a
be
diamond
bad.
player now would have been Masters
This is
or
bad.
maybe even GM at the start of Wings of Liberty
This
kind
is
of
bad.
thing. This is very
Get
bad.
someone. Oh,
Huge
wow!
drop. Those
That
Vikings.
went really well. Oh, it still went down with about half full.
Oh! But actually, losing all of those medevacs is really bad. He's picking up as many SCVs as he can, but so many bio units of Pride have just been killed off by this attack. Good that he picks up the Hellions, because that's preventing counter-attack potential coming out of Sabre. But even so, big losses to the army of Pride, and only 10 SCVs killed for 3 medevacs worth of units.
And the 3 medevacs. So that really, I think, is the thing that makes that definitively not in Pride's favor. Pride should take a 4th base right now. He just killed all the Hellions. He knows that the tanks can't move out for a while because they don't have the Hellion support. So there's no reason not to pick up. Like, look at that. Look at that mech force. Is your opponent going to move out anytime in the near future? Especially an opponent like Sabre, who's shown that he prefers to just sit back and take lots of bases? Hell no. Take a 4th. I'd even take a 5th. Keep ramping with those upgrades. Get your infrastructure through the roof, and then start playing the trading game.
Yeah, he only plays Turtle most of the time. Just his way.
There's still, let's see, 13 Hellions and climbing. He still really needs to start blocking these entrances to his base, or blocking the mineral line with, there's a bunker there at the second expansion there. But he needs to do that, and so his army is free to move around. Oh, there goes those turrets again. Moving up on the left-hand side of Red's base there.
Will they come in time, though? Medevacs are already on their way, boosting in.
And the Hellions
They're not
are...
going to be in time. It's not happening.
Nice timing there,
Really well here by Pride, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. These tanks are sieging up towards the back, but Pride, to his credit, sees what's going down. He gets out of there. Doesn't make the mistake that we've seen in previous games of trying to fight Meg.
That was decent, yeah. That's true.
Not a bad trade. It's not a bad trade at all.
Alright.
Got out in time.
A nice pickup from Pride, but all of this at the expense of not taking additional bases.
Pride has just scanned the island. He knows that Sabre's taken a 3rd on the island. So that's actually
good.
really notable. There are currently no... I mean, there's a planetary there, which is great. So Sabre's going to have some kind of defense, but there's no missile turrets, no nothing. And if this army survives out of Pride, and it does look like it's gonna, chasing these Hellions back into Sabre's natural, he's going to be able to go for a drop and probably kill off this base.
Yeah, he could even, if he doesn't want to challenge the planetary, just leave, 3 Marines behind the mineral line, and there you go, you shut down an entire base income.
Yeah, there's only 2 Vikings, there's no medevac, so it would be really hard for Sabre to actually get units over there to deal with, like you said, 3, 4 Marines. So 4th base goes down for Pride. I like it, but at this point, like I said earlier, I'd want to see a 5th by now. Pride needs to stay always 1 base ahead of his opponent, and he's doing an alright job so far. His economy is nice at 57 workers, but remember, he's not really mining much off this main base anymore, so whereas Sabre is, so he's still kind of tied economically, and I just, man, Pride should absolutely be, maxed and pressuring like crazy, but he might catch some Hellions out here in the middle of the map.
He's just trying to... He moves as an army. He moves as a single unit rather than lots of little ones. Every medevac is its own attacking force in the Terran army, and of course, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of speed, a lot of control and multitasking to be able to use that to maximum efficiency. And this is a diamond. Diamond's probably kind of looking at low master by this point.
Right here. Oh, he could. Yeah. He has no idea that. Oh, that sea tank is up now, but he could definitely go into that second expansion there with all those Hellions.
There's so many Hellbirds moving towards the natural. He does have a tank in there, and actually a good amount of bio is going to be able to kite back, even as he attacks and kills off that island expansion, reducing Sabre to a paltry, how many command centers? Or like 4?
Paltry, that was an exceptional use of the word. Pride's got a great lead now, guys. Sitting on 4 bases to just 2 for Sabre, and Sabre's looking to be mined out in his main base in the imminent future. He does have a 3rd almost complete over here. But I wouldn't like to actually see him take that island base. I don't think he's going to be able to defend it. Instead, maybe move, take this base in the top left-hand corner, and continue pressuring with these little forces like
This is a smart engagement from Pride, pulling those Hellbats out of position so they can't defend the tanks and have to attack if they want to achieve anything. And Pride baited the Hellbats out and outspeeded them. Oh, this could be a no, not quite. And he pulls out in time as well. Very, very good. He saw that he wasn't going to get in order in time to pick off all of those tanks, and he ran away straight away with those stimmed units. Didn't lose anything. Very, very smart. However, a lot of units left on that island, just dead supply for Pride. Don't know what that's doing there, to be honest. Kind of needs to do something about that.
He's preventing the next command center.
Look at this. Look at this. That's true. Look at this counter attack.
All that entire army. Good job.
Pride is being so annoying. He's doing what Sabre's done to him in the previous 2 games, exactly like we talked about. He's using the speed of the bio to outmaneuver the Meg. It's rather than fighting directly, every single time he thinks he has to fight, he just leaves. He goes home. He doesn't need to. Sabre actually getting the medevacs to heal the Hellbats. I said that as a joke, but it's quite effective. They're even harder to kill in those circumstances. This is quite a scary force that Sabre's wielding. But Pride's army's a lot bigger.
Yeah, if he gets 2 medevacs up there into that island, he can pick up most of those units and just... You could do a nice attack in the main there, drop on that siege tank, take out those 2 command centers or orbitals.
Yeah, it'd be really good actually if he did that.
Centers.
That's gonna... I think if he does actually lose, it could be down to the engagements, but it definitely won't be helped by his decision to leave as many units as he has on the island. Sabre with a great tank spread as Pride pushes into the third, but the tank spread actually working against him, and because there aren't enough of them in one place at the right time, Pride's going to push forward, and as long as he doesn't try and engage this directly, he's going straight for it!
Oh gosh, that was painful to watch. It's over.
You can't do that!
It's alright though. Like, that's the 3rd base. Pride's sitting on 4 mining bases, well 3 mining bases at this point, but 4 gases. He's just gonna remake all of his, all those units he lost. He's already almost up.
His bank is pretty big, and he did actually exactly what I mentioned there. He took 1 medevac though, dropped in the main. Didn't do too much damage though.
No, there are a few Hellion Hellbats up in the main to defend, and there's a tank sieged up in the mineral line. I think Sabre perhaps anticipating that was an option, the attack from the rear. But right now, Pride is the one who looks best in this game, and it's worth noting especially that Sabre's 2-2 is yet to hit, whereas Pride is already on 3-3 with Mech +2, actually ahead of Sabre's Mech +2. That is how far ahead in upgrades he is. He is beating the Mech player in Mech upgrades when he's going bio. Tank here is going to stall this mech as the bio force is running straight into the main. There's so little here to defend it. Oh, this is a really, really good Pride. Really good Pride.
He needs to stay away from those tanks and just run through his base, destroy it, pick up and leave. As long as he doesn't fly his medevacs into those turrets.
Yeah, you're calling it exactly as it is. That's so... It's just his plan. Pride's just gone, okay, I don't need to fight you. Let's just keep walking. And the second it comes down to it, he's going to kill off these Widow Mines because they can't fight him. He has actually lost a lot of units here, but not nearly as many as Sabre has, crippling his opponent's economy as well. And even with this basically pure Marauder force left, huge damage being dealt with the red Terran, and your opponent can just lift up and go as soon as he feels like it. All the tanks are gone.
He didn't even waste his entire army actually, because he has much more income than him. Sabre only has 1 mining base. The Marauders denying the base on the island there, and Pride's got what 3 mining bases. He could have a 4th. He could even have a 5th if he really wanted. He should really pick up that orbital or make another one.
I'm not sure it matters at this point. We're looking at 136 army supply to 1.
Yeah.
1 army supply for Sabre at this point. This is when Sabre has a distinct tendency to not leave games until he's really, really sure he's lost. So Pride is going to have to work for this win. Sabre's going to make really, really certain that Pride has earned it. And it's partially just to wear his opponent down as well. Because during all of this, there's a PF building on the island 3rd. And
Boss battle here.
Let's contest it.
There you go.
It should be the last battle, but Sabre doesn't quit easy. He's a clinger. There we go, though. GG is called.
Whoops.
That was really good.
That was very swift.
That was a different Pride to the Pride we saw in game 1 and 2.
Alright guys, welcome to the game. We are here. We are excited. Ain't that right, guys? And we, what do you love?
All of it, just every part of it. I wish there was slightly more Protoss, but that's like my only complaint about this entire season. I had so much fun casting it, and this is the climax of Premier, which I've cast the majority of, pretty much every game, every night, and this is the finals that we see before us. We've got the two players who have worked so hard to get all of the way up here, spawning in the top left-hand corner in the yellow from Integrity Gaming, the Terran player.
Pride.
And Pride's opponent in the bottom left, currently leading 2-1 in this best of 7. Get to give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for His Holiness himself,
Sabre.
So what do you guys think?
Mere builds so far.
Yeah.
Other than 2 scouts from, who's that, Sabre? Yeah, Sabre, and 1 from Pride.
Those extra barracks coming out of Pride,
Oh, yeah.
again, kind of show that he's leaning towards his own bio style and Saber, most likely mech. Both of them going for the CC first. I don't think that's too big a surprise. Again, the tech advantage is very important, but on a map this huge, you can get away with it. You can squeeze out that extra command center, and a lot of them have.
I think we'll see Banshees. Oh. Okay. Alright.
Saber,
Yeah.
Saber's going for macro cheese. Building an extra command center in the top right-hand base. It's very, very unlikely that Pride's going to find this.
Yeah. Can you go home?
No, he
Can you
can't.
let the SCV go home? Okay.
He actually pulled the Marine away for a moment.
Oh, what a dirty fella.
The betrayal! The betrayal!
Oh,
I actually cast a tournament at one point where someone asked someone like a difficult question as he began to stim up the ramp. Actually, that might have been earlier in this tournament. I'm not sure. It was very rude anyway. And oh no, that was Gosu Pizza. That was Gosu Pizza who asked the question as he was about to stim up his opponent's ramp just to try and get a little advantage by distracting his opponent. And it didn't work, but it was very, very sneaky. These players will go to anything to win.
Yeah, there was a actually that kind of reminds me a little off topic with Pinky and the Brain episode. There was one episode where Brain was his idea to take over the world was to make a novel, and within that novel, a sentence that people would be confused by, and then read over and over and over again until they're hypnotized. So if only we could type that sentence in a StarCraft match.
I actually see that working in a really weird way.
Just ask this really strange question that will just perplex the opponent.
Pride has got an SCV up towards the top of the map, and I don't know what he's doing with it. He almost looks like he's hunting for a command center, and indeed he might find one by sheer chance. But at this point, it's more like a proxy thing. I don't know what he intends to do with this.
I think it was proxy. He's going. It looks like he's going back. He's going to go to the middle left mineral field just to check there, and in that area, then go home.
Yeah, it's very funky.
There might be a proxy.
Yeah. Sabre has gone so greedy in this game. He went command center barracks, command center factory, and he's now getting ready to proxy a starport, which hilariously Pride might actually see. He does. I mean, might have seen it if it had been building, but as it is, he didn't even see the SCV, so there's no warning that this is coming. And Sabre is not proxying any of them. I take it back. He's building in the back of his main. This could be the Nathanius build. Triple starport Banshee. Normally that she's versus Zerg, but it has merit by virtue of being 3 Banshees at once, which is a lot of Banshees, and Banshees are good. So using that maths, you can generally apply it to most situations.
I'm really hoping he gets a Raven this time. Pride.
That would be cool. He really should. Banshees can't shoot Ravens ever, so getting a Raven would allow him to just negate any Cloak, and Cloak does usually come when you go triple starport. But as yet, Where are they? Where are the tech labs? Any fusion core? No, nothing yet. Double Widow Mines as well. Sabre doing the funkiest of plays with his proxied base, with his Widow Mine. It's almost a rush. He's just running them across the map, and they're surprisingly quicker, the Widow Mine, so they'll get themselves across as fast as possible. Should really be shot down if they try and run up the ramp, but I think what they're going to try and do is exactly, yes, a contain. Here they go. That doesn't do very much. Widow Mines don't splash on themselves underground.
It's too bad for him.
Actually, you know what? That's Widow Mine's taking 5 damage. Did he get he must have got a hit off with the SCV on that.
Did he attack? Yeah, he must have.
Yeah, I can't. It would have taken 40 if it was its own
They
splash.
both have 5 damage off them. What?
An SCV earlier attacked as well.
Oh,
so
there we go. He knows.
I was like, what is going on?
I'm so glad someone saw that.
This is really okay. These turrets, he's turret happy. He has turrets.
Very happy. But it's the way to be. Getting those up and nice and defensive against medevacs. Sabre's not making the mistake he's made before. He's got mines, he's got turrets, and everywhere he not losing a medevac actually. The splash of the Widow Mine is not enough to kill. Not enough. Oh, he's seen them. The Marines might be able to get those, but oh, the splits are real. Pride just about getting away with that, although not as cost effectively as you might have seen. And there's a very sneaky Widow Mine burrowed just behind the rocks over here, trying to get away with murder. Not quite managing it. The tanks have intercepted. Good medevac count for Pride as he gets ready to advance in, but really Sabre's mind is not on the advancing army, but on his own Banshees as he pushes into his opponent's natural. That's a lot of Banshees. That's more Banshees than people normally have at 11 minutes.
They're going to be able to take out the refineries too, which is going to be a little bit of a nuisance. Not the worst thing, but still. Oh,
Yeah.
and even get the command center.
The thing is, they're actually going to be incredibly irritating. There are some Vikings in production for Pride up in the main base. So 2 Vikings is going to be able to chase away these Banshees pretty effectively. But for now, they're just going to town, forcing a repair on the command centers, forcing the spending of minerals there, picking off 7 SCVs, and the attacking force of Pride being lifted up into the medevacs, actually not going to run into any turrets. It's going to go basically unopposed here. A big tank siege up means that Pride looking really good here. The SCVs are kind of
SCVs to help out here.
no way. How many is he going to get? How many
That's
SCVs?
going to be a lot of
Yeah.
SCVs there.
Already up to 23 SCV, 32, 35, 40 39. I tried to round, whatever. 39 SCVs killed there in that attack by Pride. Pride has done enough damage that if he capitalizes on it, he can win the game so fast, so quickly. That was absolutely crippling. But does he realize? Does he know how far ahead he is?
Yeah, he was even able to, like, I don't know if the Banshees pulled out before the Vikings came, but the Vikings are there now, so Banshees aren't going to be nearly as effective now. They, like, even if they get from that sweet spot, hit the command center, hit the refinery, he's still fine because of that detection is further than the actual range of the turret. The Vikings will be able to shoot them, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, they should be. The Vikings should just be able to defend pretty acceptably, and even then there's quite a few scans, but actually Pride using a scan in the wrong place, losing a tank now, and in fact this whole bioforce is going to have to be lifted up. With no anti-air though, it's all going to be safe for now. Pride's getting himself out there. And during this time period, I know I talked about like how far ahead Pride should have been. Sabre's catching up. Again and again and again, Sabre just catches up. His SCV production is so good, and with the 3rd command center, it's there.
Really
Stay.
want to point to the mistake that John has repeatedly pointed out from Pride's end, and that is make Ravens. If Pride refuses to make Ravens once again, he's going to have to burn an obnoxious quantity of scans to deal with these Banshees, and he's also not going to have the ever-present threat of a Hunter Seeker missile, as well as the ever-present defense of a point defense drone, because right now Pride keeps trying to make these like small hit squads, but his Marines keep getting caught by these Banshees, so we'll have to see if he can make a slightly better turnaround with that fact and begin using PDD a little bit to great effect.
PDD is so good. I know we talked about this earlier, but I just want to stress how awesome the PDD is. Pride actually boosting scarily close to that base up in the top, but he hasn't seen it yet. And really, he needs to be back at home because this Hellion squad that we've seen Sabre use to such great effect in previous games is going to deny the third of Pride. Sabre looking so good, and he's even got his own Vikings to deal with the couple of Vikings that were denying Pride base. Sabre does know how to use a Raven. I've seen it before. I know I'm going to see it again. See, PDD! Instant win on that engagement.
And now it's going to lock down these, it could even lock down the turrets.
Yes, it can, and it's going to. Look at
There
it.
you go. Ravens.
Sky Terror.
Ravens are amazing.
They're so good. Spellcasters are all overpowered. Like, actually, all of them. And it's a good thing. It means that the game is kept dynamic and interesting in its own way. Sabre using his own overpowered spellcaster, dropping that PDD, denying the turret, and immediately capitalizing on his lead that he got via opening a crazy Sky Terror build. Actually,
I didn't see this drop at the bottom here in Sabre's base.
Yeah. See, another. Every time Sabre kills SCVs, Pride comes back and kills twice as many. He's fine. He's.
At this point, however, I believe that it's perfectly okay for Sabre to go for a base trade. Pull his SCVs and run to the top right-hand corner of the map, close his buildings out of here, take the starports and factories, and keep playing the game from that position.
He has the air superiority, he can get away with it, but the scan goes down and actually losing all of his air dominance in that engagement. Everything but 2 Ravens goes down. The Ravens have all gone down. Sabre's lost everything. What's he got left? It's just
Wow,
held back to the...
Quite the turn.
Yeah, just that tiny miscontrolled engagement, and Pride has spun it back in his own favour. He's got the SCV lead once again, he's got the army lead, and these Marines are just going to kite all the way around the base, doing as much damage to the SCVs as they can.
Sabre actually, he pulled all his SCVs in his main, which I really disagreed with because he had quite a bit of Hellbats. They probably wouldn't have won the engagement, but look at all the Hellions coming now. Like, they would have held off until at least then, and he wouldn't have lost all those SCVs. He is lucky that he does have that Ninja expansion. I was actually just about to say, I think it's over for Pride until I saw that drop, because that drop, like, it annihilated 2/3 of his worker force.
The thing is,
If Sabre didn't have that expansion, he'd be out of the game. But because he does have that hidden base, he's got a chance. He's clinging on.
Here comes the battle cruisers, I think.
Banshees is such a critical mass unit, however, and Sabre lost all of them. I think the biggest thing was for Sabre to keep that Air Force alive, because we all know Sky Terran is the best, but you need to get to it. And Sabre was halfway there, you know, he had established a good Sky Terran force. He had Ravens, he had Vikings, he had Banshees. And then he threw the whole army away to try to defend that expansion that I didn't feel was that important. You know what, it wasn't that important. He took out Pride's natural expansion. He could throw that expansion away and he's still up 2 bases to 1. That expansion did not matter at all. And Sabre put all his attention into defending it. Consequently, he lost his whole Sky Terran force. And I really don't like his position now because he's going to try to reboot that Sky Terran force. And that's a really hard thing to do. And Pride's going to be hitting drops to try to punish that greed out of Sabre.
The amount of time Pride has flown past this Ninja expansion and turned right instead of left. Those medevacs, they keep going all the way around the map, right next to this Ninja expansion.
Yeah, it's just not, you don't expect it, and you have to be like, you have to be a cut above to recognize a player who's taken a hidden base. Sometimes it's obvious, and you just kind of go, he should not have this much money. And other times you kind of go, oh, he's got mules, it should be okay. A bit of a premature boost from Pride's medevacs as he kind of cut the distance out a little bit. He's now got to boost past his turrets to quite some extent. But even so, he's going to get ready to drop once more. They've been so successful so far. Although this time, a little less so. Losing one medevac straight away to those widow mines, and another one takes out a marine or a marauder. Didn't quite catch which, but he's driving away everything in that base, and he's going to pick off all of those starports if he's left uncontrolled once more. Sabre really, really wants those starports. He's doing his best to cling on to those. Fire's just going to fight back again.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe he's okay. He is.
Fire's too maneuverable. That's the strength. Another widow mine though. Picks off a solitary marine. Really not what Sabre needed right now. Gets a few more with that second hit, but another starport goes down. Pick off the tech labs is going to delay the good production, as if to, as you say, the Banshees, the Ravens, the battle cruisers, rather than the Vikings, which are great, but only really against other air units. And this drop is so effective, whilst at this point in time, Sabre's really not doing that much to his opponent across the map. He is at a significant deficit, even with the hidden base up towards the top left. Like,
I mean, 5 command centers and trying to go Sky Terran after you just lost your full Sky Terran force. Like, it was really cool the first time because Sabre didn't get caught. And he had this huge lead, but
Widow picks off a retreating medevac. Could be worse for Sabre. He keeps getting those free shots off. He's actually got drilling claws. I noticed he was producing a minute ago, producing those very, very gradually. But having drilling claws, like, it's the best upgrade for a widow mine. It makes them about maybe 75% better, just because they pretty much always get their shot off, as opposed to sometimes. Especially against Zerg, it's a big deal.
Pride definitely does need to keep the pressure on, and he needs to make freaking Ravens. But if he makes a Raven and then keeps his pressure, I mean, he should cripple Sabre. However, if he plays, a little too relaxingly and lets Sabre get away with 5 bases and 4 starports and Sky Terran and all the ridiculous things that Sabre's trying to get away with, Sabre will win the game. But Pride is pushing out now. There's a lot of Widow Mines. He doesn't have a Raven, so I'm a little scared again. We'll see. See what happens.
Yeah, he definitely does need to keep the pressure on, because like if he lets him stay, if he does not attack him in the next like 7 minutes, he's going to be up and running. Like, his income, I think, will be much higher than Pride's here, just because he does have more bases. He got another one where his ninja expansion is.
Our Pride is intent on trying to punish this. His scan's perhaps not the most accurate things in the world, and the good Widow shots going off, but the Bio is doing great work to everything that Sabre has. He's burst into the main now as well with a big Marauder force. And Marauders, if they have concussive, which I think they do actually. I know they do have concussive, so they can be able to kite the Hellbats all day. Really not going to be that much of a threat to the Marauder force, because the Marauders aren't light, they're just feeling pretty good. Rip through all of those, pick off this command center, going to take down all of the factories, which actually have no tech labs left either. They can't produce tanks, they can only produce the Hellions and Hellbats that can be kited and outranged. Sabre is so far on the back foot, even with these hidden bases up towards the top right.
That was a really smart move, not to go for that expansion with planetary. Go straight up into the main, take out the production. He can even take out these starports down in his map here.
There's Banshees actually here. There's only 1 Marine.
Oh yeah.
I think he'll just lift. I think he'll just lift and leave, or do as much damage as he can. Yeah, he's getting the double depot. In fact, no, he's not even going to lift. He just thinks this is okay. Going to trade out the rest of his army, dealing with it, and only lifting when he feels like it's going to be safe. So this Sky Terran force once again is really all Sabre has going for him. But producing out 4 starports, he could well defend for at least some time.
Pride needs to attack again right now.
Yeah,
he needs to
again and again and again.
And he just needs to keep doing that, rinse, repeat until this game ends and Pride wins. If he sits back, let Sabre do his thing. Sabre's going to come back because he's going to have Sky Terran, which is unkillable by a Marine Marauder medevac. Battle cruisers are on the way, and he's going to have 3/3 upgrades. If Sabre can get like 4 or 5 battle cruisers, I'm going to begin to get a little scared, because Pride's going to have to tech transition into Viking, which I don't think he has any upgrades for.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't have any air upgrades. So Vikings will just get wrecked by a 3/3 Sky battle cruiser Viking. So this is the most important fight, I think, right now in the game. Can Pride make it to the starports and begin dealing that catastrophic damage?
He's going to try, certainly. Pushing towards that 3rd base, decides once again that the PF is not worth messing with. Even as this Banshee force attempts to push out, it's forced to come home straight away by the attacking forces of Pride, doing exactly as you said, and just dragging Sabre home again and again. Exactly as we saw the Hellions do to Pride himself in games 1 and 2. He's going to rip through all the production. If he gets to those starports, well, that could be game-ending damage right there. The Banshees are trying their best.
Oh no, but the Marines, there's only 6 Marines left in this whole force, and actually Sabre's going to manage to hold this. He's only going to kill 6 more Marines, and once he does, all the Marauders will be his, and now he's beginning to pump out battle cruisers. 3 battle cruisers, 4 at a time.
Did he see that battle cruiser? Oh, he scanned it. Okay, that's good. He's got a clue in here that these aren't the only bases that have been mining. Hopefully soon.
That was
Yeah,
so
but-
close. He very nearly lost a medevac in there, but he just about got away with
Let's
that.
look at mining. Sabre is still mining better than Pride. He's bringing in far more gas because of the number of bases he has, and his minerals are equal. So although Sabre lost all those ground forces, that attack needed to get to the starports. That's what I was saying. Since he needed to get the fusion core and the natural, he needed to get the starports. Because he didn't get them, Sabre's gonna, next time Pride attacks, Sabre's gonna have at least 8 battle cruisers waiting for him, and that is not. The Marines are not gonna touch 8 battle cruisers backed up by 10 Banshees.
No matter if he's producing them 9 at a time, no matter how well supported they are by medevacs. And actually, Pride is producing now 3 starports at once, so I think
Okay,
he's
that's good.
cottoned onto the fact that something is not quite right.
But he
I
needs
think
to
he's
start
worked out that
upgrades.
Vikings are pretty good on Sky Terror, and I'm sure we'll see the upgrades in short order.
I hope so, because otherwise
He's
he's
gonna
gonna
need
get
'em.
wrecked.
Yeah. So I've seen Sabre do this before, but it was in a TVP, and he won that game, although he shouldn't have. And in this game, it's closer. It is a closer game. I trust Sabre's ability with the mech. He knows what he's doing, but it's a question of whether he lasts that long. Here they come.
Realizes the planetary is dead, pulls the battle cruisers back. I really like that. Why not wait for the extra 2 battle cruisers that he could have for this fight, maybe even 3? Meanwhile, Banshees kill the 4th mining base belonging to Pride on the top right, and now Pride is going to try to push into the main production facilities belonging to Sabre. This engagement could decide the entire game.
I think it has to, really. Pride might be able to come back if he loses everything, but he's lost everything just too many times, and with the Banshees across the map, it's a big risk for him. He's going to do as much damage as he can, but if he pushes down towards the starports, the battle cruisers are ready and waiting, and Marines do not fight against battle cruisers and win. Almost all of them are dying, and there's, with the SCV repair, no battle cruisers have even gone down yet, and it's only the Marauder force remaining. Oh, those Yamato cannons as well.
Smart. Wow. He actually didn't kill a single battle cruiser, and he killed all
No.
22 Marines.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Battle cruisers. I can't remember who it was who was telling me this, but if you have about 3 battle cruisers, it's quite difficult to kill them with any number of Marines. It just doesn't really happen. They're just too hard to kill. The Vikings and Pride that have come out are just trying to defend against the Banshees back behind us. Sabre is doing to Pride what Pride did to him in the previous game, just out-macroing, out-microing, chasing him around, forcing him to make decisions he doesn't want to do, and generally just restricting and containing whilst he macros his way into the lead with this huge battlecruiser force we see.
I can't
I
believe
was about to say, I think he finally realized there must be a ninja expansion because he's wandering all the way out here, but he started to go back, so I don't know if he actually has clued in yet. He sees with the 1 Marine expansion on the...
That medevac!
Oh gosh.
The Yamato cannon has range. It has range 10 to activate it, but range 20 once it starts, or possibly even range infinite. I'm not sure about it. It's a high range is the point. And the medevac that was fully loaded was picked off as it travelled away. Didn't quite pull it off. So Pride's only got 1 that's going to attempt to drop up towards the north on a PF. And yep, all PFs up in the north.
that's the most useful 1 hit point Marine that I've seen in a long time.
It's doing his thing. He's trying his best.
He's gonna face...
Yeah, this is going to end badly. I'm just
Hello.
watching the planetary report.
I really wanted to see that the gases at this base were mined out.
In which,
In the all the way in
yes.
the top.
yeah, well,
just-
nearly everything's gone up there. This ninja base, as you said, has just done so much work for Sabre. It's basically the only reason he's in the position he's in right now. And unfortunately, just that lack of scouting from Pride, or lack of perception, and it's difficult to scout, but it didn't work out in his favour. And now Sabre's managed to cling on for dear life and could even win this game. Even though
been able
Pride killed all of his
to
workers
repair
twice.
as well. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't repaired that the lowest battle cruiser. But like, he's not double pumping Vikings from every single starport starport he has, which is I find strange because there's a lot of battle cruisers.
Yeah, he really ought to be. There really isn't that much Raven support as well, so it's actually totally applicable to do it. Vikings obviously are faster than battle cruisers. They outrange them. Although with Yamato cannon, it does reach this point where the battle cruiser can begin to kind of become favourable in the engagements. But at this point in time, Vikings are cheap enough there. It balances
But look
generally
at
in
these-
favour of them.
Look at these Vikings. They're 0-0. Like,
it's just not the one.
each one of these Vikings' damage output is currently nerfed by the armor on the battlecruisers 6. So
Oh,
those
yeah.
Vikings are shooting for about half damage because they deal 14, so they're gonna actually deal 8. I
Yeah.
mean, they shoot 2 projectiles, so it gets nerfed twice. Like, these Vikings, I don't
Down
know,
to 16
man.
from 28.
I don't feel like they're gonna be doing much. Oh, nice catch on the stand. Pride's gotta go take his own ninja expands in the bottom right if he wants to come back. And he's
It
really
might
gotta
be
start
too
up
little
there.
too late at this point. The Banshees have done great damage, killing off 20 of Pride's limited SCVs, and Sabre's just mining on his mule economy. He really doesn't need to bother that much with only having 50 SCVs because he's just feeling good about himself. He knows that he's okay. He knows that he's pretty much fine because his army consists majority of battle cruisers. We've got 14 battle cruisers for our Red Terran, and he's going to move across the map with this huge, high energy, high DPS force. He can fight Marines. He can fight big targets with the Yamato cannon, which hits for 500 damage, and he's just going to crush it. It's crazy good.
Yeah, I think this is the steamroll now.
One
It's on its way. What do you?
Are we
It's so difficult to do anything against a battle cruiser force. Even the Raven, the much vaunted Raven, doesn't do that well because they fire so frequently that they wear out PDDs really quickly.
Yeah, you could go for a seeker missile and hope that they clump up like that. Because I've actually lost. I had mass carriers once and lost a mass Raven because of that air clump. That splash damage can be so deadly, but he has no Ravens anyway.
It can be. It can be. Sabre right now is the one looking deadly at this point. He's Pride's got a lot of Vikings and he is doing his damage, but the Yamato's going off again and again. He's going to blast. Yep, here they go again and again and again. The Vikings getting whittled down rather than the battlecruisers they so desperately need to kill off. And every time they fire, 2 or 3 more Vikings go down. The army supply of Sabre is barely dropping, and Pride is on his last legs.
Yeah, this is a shame. He actually had him too. He just did not scout around the map. And even like, it's just a little thing. These 3 Marauders could be shutting down this other expansion planetary from the high ground.
It's so hard on a big map like this to do because you don't want to, like, even when you have something like hallucination, it's really annoying to remember to scout like all the little corners and whatever, and hallucination's almost free compared to scan, which has a direct kind of mineral equivalency cost. It's very, very tricky, and unfortunately Pride was caught out someone by Sabre, so Sabre is looking like he's gonna move across and tear through this production. Battlecruisers don't care about missile turrets. This is a weak defense out of Pride, and Sabre knows it, and I think he might be playing with his food a little bit because he's moving away. Bit cheeky there. Maybe it's to deal with these Marauders.
Yeah.
I guess
they made the call to all of those like 8-10 battlecruisers to deal with these 3 Marauders. So we need help.
Yeah. I guess the call there is Pride's remembering that battlecruisers remain mech and they're very, very slow. So attacking all over the place is the strength. Unfortunately, he didn't really notice soon enough. And I think when you see a big battlecruiser army, your instinct is just like, God, I better kill this before it gets too big. And it's a good instinct because if it gets too big, this happens. But if you can be everywhere that your opponent is not, pick off all of their bases, do all of that great damage, you can kind of make it do. You can make it work if you play smart.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's actually going in the directions of the battlecruiser, which is a bad idea. Like he needs to. He saw them go over there. He saw them take out his Marauders, but okay, now he's going back.
He's still trying to fight, and so far that has not worked out well for him against Sabre. The only times he fights is when he's already ahead, because that's when Bio can beat mech, when it has a significant advantage in upgrades or in numbers or in supply or whatever. But even though Pride is actually doing a pretty good job right now of picking apart his opponent, of tearing him away and doing whatever he can in these circumstances, he's fighting an uphill battle, put it that way. The PDD's come down, the Vikings are instantly negated, and that's it, GG is called.
Alright guys, here we are in the game, bottom right hand corner of the map. Ben, would you be so kind, Mr. Lathe, to tell us?
Yeah, I was muted. I actually did an intro.
Oh, I was
and
just
then
rolling with
muted
it,
the whole
man.
time.
I noticed. And I was just gonna roll with it, but
So dumb.
Lathe actually had. Now that you all know, Lathe did a full introduction of one of our players, and was on mute the entire time. So
Yep.
now we're here, and Ben, I wanted to give you the redo shot, man.
No. It's much funnier this
So
way.
please.
Right. So spawning in the top right, in the yellow trunks from Integrity Gaming, we have our first Terran player.
Pride.
Pride has certainly got his back against the ropes right now. John, what do you think? Can he bring it back?
I think he has a potential. He's shown the potential. Like he almost beat him twice in the 2 other games. It's just that Sabre has outlasted him because of the macro.
Yeah, every single time. It looks like, or almost every single time, of course it is 3-1. Pride did win that game on Waystation pretty convincingly, but most of the time Sabre just has this just some kind of trick. He has a ploy, he has a plan, and he uses it so well and so consistently that Pride just gets that kind of thrown off a little, perhaps, and it allows Sabre to get away with it. In fact, Sabre's sent. No, he's just scouting. I saw an SUV in a corner of the map that wasn't the corner that Pride was in. I just assumed he was putting down a proxy command center.
Well, that is
No.
him. He's actually leading right now, 3-1, surprisingly enough. I mean,
Yeah.
It's surprising because you think of all these games and how far behind he was. Guys, let's give it up for him in the bottom right-hand corner. In the red, it is.
Sabre.
Just massive lead right now. And I don't know, man. I don't know how Pride's going to battle it back, but I know right off he's got to be a little on the defensive.
Looks like Pride's going for early command center, and Sabre, it looks like he's going to do the same because of that bunker placement.
It looks like that, but he's actually faking it out. He's building a factory. Look at that factory up on the high ground near his opponent's base. I'm as yet a little bit uncertain what that's for. He's got this big gas kind of thing. It could be the rushiest Banshees possible, and he could be using this factory purely for the tech lab. It could be for Widow Mines, or even the infamous proxy Thor. Actually, he's getting a reactor on that.
I need to say something that Sabre may have made a big blunder because
Okay.
he actually was killing rocks from on his ramp at his main and allowed an SCV to come inside, go right past the bunker, and see that there was in fact no command center. And it's not a dead giveaway because, you know, the command center, they are Terran, they could have it in the main base, but it certainly pointed that something may be up, that there was no command center on the low ground, but a bunker was there.
Yeah, it's certainly a better tell than, you know, just seeing absolutely nothing. And I don't know why you build the bunker that prematurely to get absolutely nothing there. So it's certainly unusual, and I think Pride is kind of thinking about what this could mean, because he's getting an eBay. He's kind of thinking, this is a bit funky, and I don't know what's going on in the base. He didn't go Reaper, which is smart on Frost, but it's a risk. And now these Marines have been across the map.
Yeah, these Marines are actually doing a ton of damage right now, Ben. He killed off, oh my god, those Marines from Sabre, they did get cleaned up pretty handedly in the end.
Yeah.
Killed off the
Looked scary for a
SCV,
minute,
managed
though.
to get the bunker as well, and it was luckily a nice cleanup in the end for Pride, but he definitely took a lot of damage in a place where, you know, if he had completed that bunker, he would have just been fine. But a nice
At the
trade,
end
I
of the
guess,
day,
in the
though,
end.
it's all just a distraction. Sabre's really just diverting from his true tactic, which is this Widow Mine drop. He's got 4 Widow Mines, he's got a medevac, and that has to be going straight for the main base of his opponent, right? It's going to be boosting straight in there. Obviously, a Widow Mine it's not as effective on Terran as it is on Protoss, or even on Zerg, because the splash damage just isn't quite enough. No, it's not on Zerg because of the tick heal, but anyway, they will one-shot one SCV and then do good damage to the other, so he needs to get good concentrated Widow Mine bursts in order to make this particularly effective. And as this medevac boosts in, it is being shot a little bit by the Viking, by the turret, but all of the Widow Mines are able to unload, and this is going to be the moment. It wasn't very effective.
Hey,
Well,
I lost
oh,
the Viking, no, that's a shame.
gets
be
a
a lot
Viking,
worse.
and that's a small win, but by no means worth this huge investment of a proxy factory, a proxy starport, a medevac, and 4 Widow Mines for 2 SCVs and a Viking.
Exactly.
Sabre is absolutely going to have to get more done with this because of the amount that he's invested, and he's going to send 2 more Widow Mines into the natural expansion. Pride is looking in the main. He's not looking in his natural right now with his camera. Goes for the scan. He doesn't see the SCVs burrowing. I'm looking at his camera.
Oh no! Oh, the second one!
Not that large. Gets 2 SCV, 3 SCV kills for all that effort.
Widowmine targeting is so hard to predict. You can aim it, but Sabre wasn't quite able to do it. Instead, only getting 3 SCVs. But again, as you said, all of this effort, all of this investment, this huge proxy as well. And I think perhaps circumstantially wisely, he's choosing, after his expansion, to just keep producing the Widowmines. He's committing to his pressure, and he's going to try and make this work rather than just chicken out and go home and perhaps try and macro up a little bit. I'm not saying that's always wise, but I think in this circumstance, it could work out. It could be okay for our red player who only needs 1 more game to win. He's got a bit of a safety net.
Yeah.
He's got 2 games that he can lose before
It's a little strange though. Like, you would think Pride would be ahead in like macro-wise income. They're actually about the same. Just because of the saturation in the main. However,
Sabre
he can't
has
produce
got
2 SCVs.
incredible pro production. He's just so good and so consistent all the time.
That's what I would actually blame this on. At 11 minutes into the game and you've only lost 8 SCVs, you should have a little bit more than 33, I think.
There goes again.
I know Protoss
Yeah, with
timing's
his
much better
opening.
than Terra.
He opened very fast CC.
Again, those Widows not quite volleying off right. 1 going into the gas, 1 picking off the one doing the command center, and 1 taking out 2 in the mineral line. So that leaves us with a total of 3 killed once again. It's damage. Every time it's damage, but it's not a lot of damage. And
He's leaving it.
yeah, that's going to
That's
get
one
another
Widow
go.
mine.
I think this could get as many as 4, but I'm not
Wow.
prepared to just yet.
I don't think he's going to target it though. He probably thinks
No,
his
he's
Widow
not.
Mine's
Here we
dead.
go, here we go. 1.
Wow.
Okay.
He's
Fortunate.
Widow Mine,
2
really
more Widow Mines go down. He's really committed to this Widow Mine pressure.
I actually, though, I see this kind of as Sabre taking advantage of the fact that Pride doesn't handle this pressure so well, it seems. I'm recanting back in my head when I beat him, it was with a lot of aggression in our clan match against each other. And here, Sabre is just constantly throwing Widow Mines every few seconds, dropping them, continuing to push them in. They're not doing that much damage, but Pride's economy has really not been. He's not keeping up with his macro. He's been sitting at 700 minerals for a few minutes now. That's a command center he could have dropped a long time ago. 300 gas, and I just think I haven't looked too. He doesn't have a reactor on his starport, which he should have with this composition he's going for. He hasn't made any siege tanks, although we're now 13 minutes into the game with a 2-base Terran. Like, it's really stalled him because of all the things he's been doing to deal with this attack. He just doesn't. Yeah, his upgrades are behind. He is starting in.
He's just been thrown off. He's
timed.
just a bit kind of off kilter, and it's
A lot,
he's,
actually.
Yeah, okay, a lot. He's a lot off
No
kilter.
siege tanks,
He's not
13
quite where he
minutes.
wants to be in a number of areas, and I think the most noticeable for me is the fact that command center that I mentioned about 3 minutes ago, where the SCV got killed by the Widow Mine, he's just noticed that. He's just going to start building his 3rd, which he put down at maybe the 8-minute mark. That's 400 minerals that have been invested uselessly for about 6 minutes.
Oh wow, yeah, and the 1,700 plus that's been sitting and he's playing for a couple minutes. So not as we finish closing up that topic, it's basically just that the multitasking here from Sabre, capitalizing on that he could just shift click and burrow a unit, and it had to be dealt with. Pride was having a little bit of a hard time being able to stop that, and now Sabre, I think, just pushed a little bit too much microtasking out of his opponent.
Yeah, he's got great multitasking, and again, his macro is just so good. Sabre always comes through in pro production or worker production in general, and it's so consistent across every game, every matchup. It makes him win a dramatic amount of games that perhaps he should lose just because his macro is fantastic.
Widow
every
mines
time.
are hard to deal with because they burrow and now you have to detect them, and they just auto micro themselves really. So they're a little tougher to get rid of than they already use in this like early game harass circumstance. So it was really cool that Sabre was able to get away with that. But now he's gonna try to come in for some damage. We'll see what he can manage to do. He does have a nice setup, and his opponent with only 2 tanks.
Yeah, actually a really nice flank here, dropping at the top whilst at the same time getting ready to stim into the natural. There are a couple of bunkers there to receive him though, and a siege tank, so this might not be the most successful, but I think the tanking there for Sabre is going to be acceptable as he pushes into the natural, whilst the drop towards the top has been cleaned up. But even so many SCVs just killed. 19 SCVs have been picked off as they run into the natural. Pride can't afford to take these losses.
It was the Widowmine hit that just annihilated all those SCVs. They probably would have died anyway, but
finally paying for themselves.
Yeah, those were the sickest Widowmine hits. How those SCVs clumped on top of each other when they went into the main. 10 SCV kills in a blink of an eye. That was a lot of economic damage, and now Pride is really going to have to make something happen. He didn't lose a lot of units in that circumstance. Remember, in the top left, when he engaged, he cleaned up those units quite handedly, and down bottom, he repelled the force with ease, but Sabre managed to retain a lot of that bio, so all he's got to do right now is hold on. If he could hold this attack and not take any economic damage, like we know Sabre is used to doing, he will have come back from a significant deficit.
He really will. He's really looking in a good position to be able to deal with this drop, and Pride has just kind of retreated. He's decided that having scanned, having seen the forces he's up against, he knows he can't push into it, and that's quite unfortunate because he has to do something at this point, having taken the losses he has to his SCV line thanks to those Widow Mines that ran into the natural, thanks to those multi-pronged harassments that his opponent's been deploying throughout the game. He has to make something happen for himself, and it just isn't. It's not occurring. Not occurring at this point in time.
You know, I could see it though if you look at something and you're like, I can't push that. Well, what could you do? I would love to see Pride put his army in an awkward position, sieged and waiting, so that maybe Sabre makes the mistake of misclicking, you know, into a bunch of siege tanks while they're in the middle of the map and he's not looking. Forcing a mistake out of your opponent is, you know, kind of an option when you're so behind you, but you can't go for the all-in push. You know, your opponent's just too well prepared for it. A lot of TVTs can really end pretty quickly from a bunch of Marines walking into tanks and they weren't watching.
Yeah, I've seen it a number of times. In fact, even in previous games in the ASL, I think it might have been Pride versus Armadon, where Pride won out just because Armadon kept taking slightly strange engagements and sacrificing so much, as indeed we saw Pride do earlier today. And Sabres might be relying on that. It's going to come down to the engagement, the micro, and the control. As with so much of TVT, it is a bit more of a... It's a bit chess-like in that you wait for your opponent to slip up and then you strike.
Pride might be caught off guard here because Sabre has a ton of bio.
He does.
Usually it's mech, but he has tons of bio, and
I knew something felt weird this game.
yeah.
Sabre's
It's like
made a
a
Marine.
This
I don't
is
get
when
it.
Sabre loses.
This is, and it's just like, oh, this is why I never go bio.
In all seriousness, though, like in a heads-up engagement, Sabre's army will get crushed by Pride's. I guess his upgrades are a little better. Actually, only for
here. This is he's catching him off guard. See, there, that was nice
actually
hit.
very close.
yeah.
Almost catching those tanks on siege, but as it turns out, Pride's got that long-range splash. He's got the siege tank. It's a siege unit, and it's going to siege up the third base now. Marine tank is very, very, very strong.
Most players can't use Marine medevac Marauder effectively. Marine King Prime is an example of a player that you can watch for a clinic on how to use this strategy, but it does not involve these kinds of engagements. It involves heavy dropping, forcing your opponent to siege their tanks regularly out in the middle of the map. And Sabre's trying to fight heads up right now. It's not going to work. I love the decision by Sabre to run up here the right-hand side of the map and begin utilizing the minor mobility advantage that Marine Marauder medevac does have over Marine Tank. It's going to cost him his third base, but he may be able to force a base race.
Yeah, that's actually quite a significant concern because with the Marauders and the Marines, they have such good DPS, such good anti-air as well, that Pride isn't going to be able to lift off and get himself out of there realistically. It's hard enough on Frost as it is without being against a Terran, and it does look like he's going to go down to a base race, and you have to favour Sabre in that circumstance.
Base race.
I was just thinking the same
I
thing
don't
as we were
know.
talking earlier in the game about how Pride can struggle. Sometimes in multitasking situations, that's exactly what a base trade is all about. One big thing to point out, though, is this command center that is unfinished from Sabre, and maybe the only command center that survives, and he needs to find a way to get an SCV over to it. No, in fact, he did survive with one command center in the top right, and will narrowly repair it. This is the kind of stuff that makes Sabre so good at base races. Look at this. He noticed this burning CC, canceled the building of a command center, and is going to save it with his SCV.
Such a smart guy, and it already looks like he's doing a decent job of advancing himself, getting that final win that he needs. He's just all over his opponent.
Well,
at
the
this
big
point.
thing to point out right now, though, is that, like, look at Pride's main. Although he saved that command center, Sabre seemed to be paying a little too much attention to his defense back at home, which he didn't realize was hopeless. And because of not moving into Pride's main, Pride has actually established a small force in that main base, which may be able to hold it.
I think Pride has actually got this.
Very
Those
true.
siege tanks are going to do a number of damage on them. The medevacs are like at 0 energy, and Pride's main army is much bigger than Sabre's here.
It is,
like,
but
so he can't push into the main,
if
and
Sabre-
he's wandering with his buildings.
If Sabre can actually catch this army in the top right, he could kill a number of these buildings before Pride's main army actually gets home. The biggest thing right now is Sabre has to fight before Pride's army gets home, and Pride's army is closing the gap only a couple seconds until these forces are back together, and it's a definite crush for Pride.
He's going to control, get himself in the right places, picking off those command centers that are being hidden, kind of, in his own fourth, I guess. And Sabre's desperately trying to get these buildings up so that he can stay in the game, really. He doesn't want to drop this map, even though he could afford to. He doesn't want to throw it away, because this could be the last game he needs to play, and he doesn't want to waste that opportunity. Every life lost is still a life lost, even if you have lives to lose.
Pride needs to move out now, because he needs to realize how vulnerable Sabre is right now. He has nothing producing except a single Banshee, 2 Banshees actually, which could actually mess him up. I also noticed, good job on Pride sending that Marine, 2 Marines scouting for the Ninja expansions. He's learning from last game here. But he really needs to move now. This is one of his mistakes that he did, like the first 2 games, is that he didn't jump on top of his opportunities here. Here we are. We're about to have an engagement between
Here it comes.
the main army. Yeah.
Sabre's retreating, but this is maybe the best chance that Sabre has with no siege tanks with this army, unless he plans to go for a full-on base race.
He used a stim, and his medevacs have hardly any energy too. So that was, I don't know if that was the best stim.
Well, I think the fact that Sabre chose not to fight just now has committed Sabre to a base race, the only way he's going to win. He's not mining. Pride has all the time in the world. Pride is now mining. Pride has his many production facilities, 6, 7 barracks, starports, factories. Sabre has been on the edge of having to base race for a while, but with the loss of his only mining base, he's got 1 command center left, but it's nowhere near, working towards rebuilding. The clock's ticking for Sabre, and I think it's clicked too far already.
Yeah, as long as Pride doesn't absolutely mess it up, he's got this game in the bag. There's no way he should be able to come back unless he does something very stupid, like load up everything in the medevacs and they get shot down or something like that. So that'd be pretty awful.
Well, we've seen stranger things happen in these games.
True.
Pride. It could happen to either one of them. As it stands, Sabre's got himself 5 Banshees. We know how he loves his Banshees, and once more, with that cloak, I feel like he's going to be really annoying, but it's not going to be like the previous games where he turns up and he harasses bases and he actually does really great damage. Actually getting caught in a scan there by Pride. So Pride knows what he's up against. He knows he's up against the Banshees again. And I really want him to build a Raven, but I just don't think he will.
Yeah, Ravens, that's been the key unit this entire time, Ravens.
Every game, best game, Raven. Just go Ravens. Good
I mean,
unit.
they're even fun, why not, right?
Yeah, got tech up. Just make them. They're good. They're fun. Obviously, Raven Battlecruiser versus Raven Battlecruiser. Actually, no, I wouldn't, because that'll take a really long time.
And turrets and planetaries, so... oh my gosh.
Sabre's researching +3 attack in his hidden proxy eBay near his opponent's base.
I think here comes the deciding battle right here. It looks like Pride has got this.
I think so. Yeah, this is finally taking that lead that we've known he's had for so long now. The Marines are winning out. tearing through the mostly Marauder force, which isn't very good on Marines at all, and he's going to move up into the main, not quite catching this. Saber's making his opponent work for it. He's got a bit of a tendency to fly off his buildings, like every Terran you played in Bronze League. And of course, he's not a Bronze League player, but he does tend to lift off his buildings a lot more than you see sometimes. And Pride's ready for this. He's got his Vikings. They're already on the way across. Saber might see these. I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw these Vikings turn up as Saber just left the game.
Yeah, I think if he knew how much Pride had, I think he would be leaving the game right now. But he's just making sure. I do this sometimes too, actually, just to make sure. Is there a sliver of hope? Never give up, never surrender.
No. He's got the Banshees in his opponent's natural, so you know he knows that he's got something going for him. But 4 Banshees does not necessarily a victory make.
Yeah, there we go.
3 Banshees.
That should do it.
No Banshees.
1, 2.
No Banshees.
Saber is now revealed and all structures are visible. Saber has no SCVs, Saber has no mining bases, Saber has no command center, and no money to make anything.
Yeah, he should be leaving within the next 15 minutes. We've seen this. We've seen this before.
He's got to be the most epic Banshees ever, or else. No, I think that story is ended.
Unless they learn to shoot up really fast, they're not going to be taking out these Vikings. And Price is going to shunt his way into the main, kill off all the flying structures, and then kill off all the other structures too. Unless Saber lifts them off. I hope he doesn't though.
Banshees just need to flip upside down. That's
fine. Yeah, that might work. That might be what they've been missing all this time. Need to do
the bombs or whatever they are.
Yeah. Saber's being revealed. I don't know where he's trying to hide his units, but I mean the Vikings are on top of this. They're going to chase him down. There we go. That's it. GG. The score is now 3-2. So Saber is going to take. Not going to take that game.
ASL Premier League, Season 2, Grand Finals.
Alright.
Okay guys, so here we are on Habitation Station, and spawning in the top left in yellow from Integrity Gaming we have
Yeah, you've got 2. We can take out 1.
And his opponent taking the gold right away.
As suspected.
oh yes, oh yes,
Saber.
formerly of the top right hand base.
Alright, well we're kicking it off in this game, guys, and Saber's throwing it all down to this.
He does of course have that minor safety net of the you know, he can afford to lose 1 game, but only 1 more, and you don't
catches
want to
the
throw it away.
proxy. Sorry to interrupt you, but this is that is quite the catch there. I think he was suspicious. He went and scouted any other potential proxy positions. With that gold base, I wonder if he'll be able to stop it.
This is like the most aggressive gold base I think I've ever seen. He's gone for a gold, following up with a straight off proxy hatch, just getting right out there.
And that makes a lot of sense to me because, I mean, gold bases, you bring in 1.5 times the minerals.
Yeah.
You'd go for an that's 50% more. That means why not make 50% more barracks?
Yeah.
So it does set you back, of course, a little because all the time floating. So it hits later, but it's going to be stronger. What does that mean? What do you think that means in terms of holding this? If it's going to hit later, but you're going to have a couple more, your Marines will keep coming faster.
Well, I think it's going to be difficult enough in the first place, but with Saber lifting up and dropping them in the corner of his opponent's main, all he has to remember is to rally the right direction, because, I know. Wait, no.
Oh my god, like, really? This is what happens versus this response? Look at what Pride has gone for. With it all on the line right now, guys, Pride currently down 2-3 from Saber.
He scouts it. Alongside.
And yet, he's actually kind of making it work. Gets 2 Marines there, and now is kind of free to chip away at the barracks for a bit of time. Second one going to come down to help Pride in his efforts to deal with this 3 racks. But Sabre, whilst he does currently have the unit advantage, he's going to have to be a bit careful, because right at this point, Pride has the unit advantage, not Sabre. Sabre's got the production advantage. It's gonna all come down to overall control and micro, I think, more than macro in this game.
I love Pride's follow-up here. I'll go command center, I'll hold your proxy 3 racks. You take that gold, and I'm going to go for fast pressure to counter against you. These 2 extra barracks are really scaring me. The bunker does get stopped for the moment, though, by that SCV, or the SCV being killed.
Yeah, even so though, with these Marines on such low health, the SCVs actually managed to clean up, and now the bunker is finished. The Marines will be able to produce straight into that, and the Marines are behind. You know, they have to walk around, or they have to go under the barracks. With one of them on fire, the production's already being halted for Sabre, and even this bunker at the front isn't enough to contain Pride for long. However, Sabre knows this. He's re-expanding to his own main base, which is probably the safest base on the map, so it makes a lot of sense.
I don't particularly agree with this decision by Sabre. Now as the Marines in the top right are killed, this entire time all this was going on, he had 2 Marines sitting in a bunker in the natural expansion. And it was actually 3 Marines to 1 for a while there. If Sabre had continually produced Marines, there was a window where he would have had a 6-to-1 advantage, because the Marines for Pride were actually behind Sabre's cycles. But he didn't really capitalize on the fact that he had an existing Marine advantage. For example, like the 2 Marines could have come up and killed this bunker for free. This bunker down here in the bottom. And it possibly killed the SUV while I was building the command center. There are a lot of things that Sabre may have been able to still do with that attack. But overall, it seems like he just wants a light contain. And we do know that Sabre does really well in comebacks. So I love that he's a little behind right now.
Yeah, he does produce those SCVs real good, and he's going to continue to do so. He's going to saturate up his main, presumably, and just proceed into probably a fairly standard game, if he's allowed to. Pride was attempting to bust through that bunker and actually did kill it off in time, but there's a backup bunker, there's still Marines in the natural, and Sabre does outnumber his opponent at this point, so Pride is still stuck in his own main base, waiting for the opportunity to move out. The great income off this gold base means that Sabre's just got superior numbers at this point.
That was actually a pretty bad trade too. He took off a couple of SCVs, I think 4 or 5, lost them all, and then some Marines as well, just for a bunker and I think a couple Marines.
Yeah, it was not really what he needed to be doing at this point, but he should be okay, because he can trade that a little bit more ineffectively, I guess. He doesn't want to be trading ineffectively. Who wants to be trading ineffectively? But he's got the bonus income from the gold base that means he can afford to, perhaps, even though it's not optimal to do so. So he's still not in too bad of a position, even though he didn't make the greatest choices.
Yeah. Right now, what Pride needs to do is see what Sabre's up to in whatever way. Like, I mean, because Sabre is pretty vulnerable. Like, he does have an army, but his base is so spread out. And that's how he can capitalize on that.
Like, where are Sabre's units right now? Look at his bunker goes down and all his Marines were committed. Sabre actually could have come in and killed all of them and probably just won the game right there. I really don't like that Sabre's army was in the middle of the map. He had the information that his opponent's starport couldn't be out yet because of how late the factory was. So he actually didn't have to worry about a drop or anything like that. And he actually knew that nothing could come out of that base without him seeing it. So I'm a little sad that Sabre's already playing so defensive. I feel like he's had a lot of opportunities to win this game, but regardless, Sabre is in a really nice spot to like move into the later stages of the game, and we all know that's the part of the game that Sabre really enjoys to play.
Yeah, that's his comfort zone, when he's got between 7 and 12 command centers all over the map, and he really, Pride really doesn't want to let Sabre get to that point. He's got to try and do something before that stage, and once again, he's not punishing these proxies. Every game when Sabre's tried to proxy something, which has been a number of games within this series, Pride just lets them sit there producing for a large part of the game. Sabre is killing his own add-ons, I think, so that his opponent can't steal them, but I'm basically not sure of that.
That, or he wants to take
He's
his
watching
gold.
it.
I don't know why you would do this, other than, I mean, it might be to clear space, but there is space, so it doesn't quite work for me. What's he planning?
Good job.
I I don't really know what to make of that. Never mind.
Sorry,
Sabre's
practice.
yeah, those Marines will have a plus 15% accuracy, which is of course a great
Yeah.
buff to them.
They'll hit 150% of the time now.
Yeah. Don't combine that with stim, it's just outright broken. The tanks, with their huge range, are going to chase away these Marines from the front, and Sabre's really missed his timing, as you said. He can't bust in the front as he might have wanted to do. Instead, because he was out of position, now it's really hard for him to shove up and really do anything with this.
I wouldn't speak too soon, though. He does have 4 tanks. He could outrange him with the air, the barracks in the air, although he's getting a little too close there.
Yeah.
I was scanning, so he could actually take this out with given a little bit of time, as long as he doesn't rush it. But now that he has more vision, more siege tanks, it actually might play into his favor.
Oh, that's the second scan.
Yep.
Now, here's what's so interesting to me is that look at the army tabs for these guys right now. Sabre has an army advantage. Oh, and did I mention also an economic advantage as he's running on 4 command center here in a second?
Yeah.
So he's got an army advantage. He's got a huge eco lead. So you have a tech lead as well, or an upgrade. Upgrades are tied. I don't know, man. Pride's gonna try to make something happen with this drop. I really, really like that because he can't stay in here forever.
No, he can't. He is trying to keep his opponent from containing him, but I've seen Sabre do this before. Just push towards his opponent's base and keep him stuck inside for a really, really great length of time. And actually, no, that was Canary versus Sabre, and Canary did it to Sabre. And Sabre, I think, has seen that game and is now learning from it. He's learned how easy it is to contain someone on habitation just because of the very narrow choke in front of your natural. And Pride's got around this, as you said, with this drop that's heading out. He doesn't need to go down his ramp. He can just turn up in the natural, and I think he could do some really serious damage.
I'm really surprised too. Like he still has not done anything to these proxy barracks, which is now a base. Like,
Yeah.
Like he's letting them have like that's 2 barracks that are no longer building Marines, and he's letting them have that because he's letting him have the land. Although there is this attack in the natural here, or what would normally be the natural.
He's picking up so many SCVs, but all the same, the tanks have just they've just sieged up, and so many Marines just burst into tiny pieces in that moment. The attempted drop on the sieged tanks as they unsieged didn't quite work for Pride, and Sabre's just going to clean up the drop very effectively. The medevac should get out of there before anything worse gets used on, like the Thor that's in production.
Alright, Pride's going to try to break it. SCV's going down the ramp to lead the charge. Marine's going to stim behind it, but the Marines are going to actually... No, the SCV's doing a lot of those shots.
Dude, I'm not sure this is going to be enough though. The tanks was good for Pride. No way, he's got this. The siege tanks are just enough, and those last few SCVs allow him to clean up the tanks. But that's equalized it. That's equalized the worker count. Sabre will have that lead with the full command center, so he will be able to advance more quickly into that. But Pride's got 3. He's no slouch in the macro stead, and good tank count means that he can push out onto the map and try and punish his opponent a little bit whilst he is at this time.
Let's point out 2 big things here. One is that the production of Sabre is actually like really far forward and super vulnerable right now if Pride only realizes that the barracks are up there. The other thing is that the siege tanks are being produced on the opposite side of the map from the Marines. So that's because Sabre's switching full on into mech.
as he always does. This siege tank positioning for Pride, he could take the middle of the map and just get himself into a really strong and established kind of siege line position in that kind of territorial TVT that we often see. But instead, he's just opting to break through into this PF. Probably going to lose a fair few units doing it, but it's good to deny that income, especially since this is a fairly fresh gold base, and really he needs to deny that as soon as possible to keep Sabre out of things. The gold that he first put to is fully mined out, so he doesn't have that advantage anymore.
The thing that he has on him is his medevacs too. He could easily hop from base to base, like from his gold to his main, or what should have been his main, but he left. It's quite a big divide. You have to go all the way around, up the ramp to the natural, and then up that ramp. And he can abuse that quite a bit if he uses those medevacs.
It's that mobility that we talked about in the earlier games that Pride didn't exploit in the first two, and then smashed in Game 3 by just deploying it all over the place. If he's able to utilize that to best effect again, and it can be quite difficult to do on a map like Habitation Station, then this could be very, very dramatic. Didn't quite go with it there. Tried to fly out and actually got attacked by missile turrets on his own half of the map.
Yep,
Alright.
didn't clean up that base
No.
completely. There's the turrets again. I find this hilarious that he builds like these lines of turrets across the map. It's actually awesome because it gives him more map awareness if he's moving out with like a drop or not.
Exactly.
Although Pride has, like, I noticed his tendency to actually just hug the border, the very edge of the map, and go all the way around, take the long way around, so he's not spotted. So,
I think that's a good play though. That's often considered very smart because it means that you take no risks, although maybe not the most optimized route. Speaking of
Especially when
optimized
you're ahead.
routes, Pride's going for a very, very nice route, heading towards the potential 3rd, 4th of his opponent, but there is nothing here. He scouts it with the medevac, he sees what's up top, and at the moment, I think Sabre's a little bit out of position. He doesn't quite know where Pride's army is. He's not looking and moving in the right place, but if Pride attacks head on, this could still be just suicidal, because we've seen him try to fight mech before, and even in this kind of diminished mech army with just a few tanks, just a few Thors, without the Hellions to buffer, the Hellion count is increasing all the time, and it would be a risk to rush into this. Pride's just macroing up. Scouted by all those missile turrets, of course. So many missile turrets of Sabres.
This SCV in the bottom left is on a mission, man. Kill this SCV, then build a turret.
He's trying. Pride's gone for a safe target. Instead of trying to be clever with his drops or anything, he's just gone for these turrets that he knows are there, and actually lost a medevac to the turret, so Sabre must be feeling pretty good about himself there. And Sabre's kept that SCV alive deliberately. I saw it jiggling. He was in control for just a second there. And in addition to that, he took advantage of the lack of positioning to siege up on the Zelmaga himself. Pride uses... Oh no! Oh no! Pride has run into that engagement headlong, and it's him dear, losing so many Marines to those tanks.
This is what we discussed in that first game, where Pride likes to fight against mech too much. Right now, you swing around south of the Zelnaga Tower, you attack your opponent's flank where he has 3 tanks isolated, or go all the way down and through up in the natural ramp where there's nothing but Hellbats. But Pride wants to fight this mech head on, and Marine tank sounds better than Marine Marauder medevac, but still, it doesn't match the power of Sabre's force.
No, not in outright damage terms at least. There's a lot of Thors there, there's a lot of tanks there, and a couple of Widow Mines just to kind of add insult to injury should the engagement go sour for Sabre. When Pride tries to push across the map, he can run into those and lose a lot of Marines to it and really deplete his own attacking force. Drilling Claws is going to be following that up as well, so that's probably going to be extra frustrating, showing that he actually tends to go towards a more Widow Mine heavy composition, because you don't get Drilling Claws for 2 Widow Mines. There's just no point.
Looks like he's going to be going back to this, the 3rd here. Or, I guess it's his 4th now. Expansion, no, he's going in the middle.
Yeah.
Facing the mech arm head on once again against Hellbats.
This is a good catch, though. There's no siege tanks supporting this. He may have not had enough army to actually take the fight that he wanted, but it was a good opportunity because the siege tanks were in the front. But overall, yeah, Pride just didn't end up having enough units there to make that attack work, which can be a really tough thing to judge against mech, for sure.
Very much so. Pride's army is pretty good though. He's still got a lot sitting back. Oh, that was less good. Running straight onto those Widow Mines, but he is going to catch 2 tanks out of position for it, so that's not the worst trade in the world. But yeah, Pride's caught up with the rest of his army.
Oh my god, these Marines and Marauders being caught in between tanks and more tanks, and Pride lost a lot of stuff there. Sabre's now pushing down in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, he's going to lose even more with this attack. The Hellbats looking very strong, although they could get killed off by the PF, but the Thors will not go the same way most likely, because they just have too much health, deal too much damage, although with the SCV repair, a little bit dubious, but that's why the Hellbats really shine. This is their thing.
Well, sandwiching him against the planetary fortress there.
He might be able to clean this up, you know. That's really, really nice. Really, really nice counter, defensive assault from Pride, manages to save the PF and not that many SCVs, but he's got mules. He can remake the SCVs.
All right.
I think that was good for Pride.
That
Pretty
was
good.
great for Pride. Let's talk about what Pride needs to do after that engagement. Two different things that he can choose, two paths. Mass harass or mass expand. Actually, both are great together if you can do it, but he really wants to power hard on his eco right now, take this extra base in the bottom right, try to take that gold base up to the top, because Sabre is not going to make good pushes. Look at these tanks being picked off in the middle of the map. The pushes that Sabre are making right now are weak, are inferior. He has lost a lot of mech units, and he's got to stay at home. Pride's going to go for an attack, a big counter. I like this as long as he's expanding behind him, and I don't see command centers going down, and then that's something that Pride really needs to do right now.
Yeah, he's got to keep himself in this in macro as well as just in general control. The Bioforce might, I think he's just going to be able to take out this PF. No, not quite. The heal was too strong, and even with the tanks, this whole force I think could go down to Pride because there's just too much now, too much mech.
Yeah, by targeting that PF, he gave Sabre a ton of time to walk his slow mech army down there.
Yeah, it was just perhaps slightly wonky decision at the time. These 3 Marauders and this whole flock of medevacs are all that's going to be left. But the medevacs getting out is very important, just because it does keep that Terran dropping potential existent within the arsenal of Pride's tools. He doesn't seem to use it that much, unfortunately. I don't think that this is deliberate either. These SCVs being sent across the map, I think that's a miss rally. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a miss rally. The orbitals are all rallied across.
Oh, yeah.
That's from actually clicking too fast for your scan.
It could well, yeah.
Whoa, nice connections from that Widow mine.
Yeah. More and more stuff just keeps dying off for Pride, and even though he has technically traded effectively, Sabre's had those gold bases. He fully mined out a gold base, so he can afford to be a little bit inefficient. And his army is very, very potent with his big tank force. So many of those sieging up all the way across the map. Habitation Station, a great map for big siege lines because it's quite narrow and small, so you don't have a lot of ground to cover. You can just pigeonhole your opponent and bottleneck him into the places you want him to be.
Yeah, I'm surprised he actually hasn't gone for the gold. He's continuing to expand to the bottom, Pride is, and not to the gold. And like, look how much gas he has. He has a ton. So it's not gas he needs. It's the minerals.
I want to talk
about the fact he hasn't taken
that point I made earlier about expanding. Pride's doing it now, but like, look at his supply, 160. Like, imagine if like a couple minutes ago when Sabre was down at 130 supply, Pride had dropped like 4 CCs and like muled the shit out of his bottom right base. He would be maxed right now. He would be maxed, and he'd have like 4 or 5 or 6 more barracks than he currently does, and he'd be able to reproduce that whole. He could throw that whole army like up into the top or down in the bottom and remax it all. But like, he just only now is he trying to boom his expansion, and Sabre just maxed. So now Sabre's going to be pushing, and Pride won't be reaping the benefits from having been maxed for the last few minutes. I feel like this eco boom is too late for Pride.
I totally agree. He just kind of keeps slipping on those timings just every single time, and Sabre, credit where it's due, keeps hitting them every time. He just goes, yep, here's a window, I'll build myself a command center. It's backfired a couple of times, but he just isn't being punished for the actions he takes, and you can only build and lose so many command centers before at least one of them finishes, and that's what we keep seeing.
Even this fight, like, he caught all the tanks unseen, but doesn't stand a chance just because his army supply is too low. Yeah, loses a couple rounds there. I mean, he's gonna try to reproduce it. It'll take him a minute or two. I love that he's going for starports though. With that gas count, he might be able to make a an air transition actually work here. That would be super cool.
Do you think we might see a reversal of things and Pride going for the mass banshee?
It would be super cool, but I don't know. I don't see it happening just because like, he just threw away half his bio. Look, how's he gonna slow it down? Look at where he chose to build those starports. That's the worst location you could choose to build those starports. Sabre's gonna be there in like 20 seconds, and like he's just now building reactors and tech labs, but he's building reactors. He's anticipating a starport switch, and like Sabre's throwing. Okay, actually there are starports going down.
Yep. He's got that one. Sabre always starport switches, and Pride is now attacking where Sabre is not, finally being in the wrong places for his opponent, which is is what we kind of been waiting for the majority of the game. In fact, actually, if Pride takes some opportunistic attacks, I felt like he might have got a tank or two there if he dropped, but it would have been a bit of a risk to drop sequentially just on top of a tank line. But obviously not a siege tank line, but it's still dangerous. They have good DPS even when unsieged.
Like, exactly what you were just talking about with the harass and the medevacs. Why did Pride's medevacs go home? There's actually nothing in the entire army of Sabre that can shoot up. He can just float over Sabre's army and just sit there with Marine Marauder just sitting in medevacs over Sabre's head, waiting for Sabre to siege. But Pride ran his whole army home, even though nothing can shoot up and his whole army can fit in his medevacs. It's Pride making some really. I think he's just intimidated by Sabre at this point. Like, Sabre's been handling him, and I think he feels afraid.
That's a fair response to the situation, but at the same time, it's not the kind of response that wins you a game. Even with this really strong engagement actually coming out of Pride, these Marauders bursting through all of that mech and it'll tear through all of those tanks. The tanks have all been killed. This army's been scaring Pride for the entire game, as you said, and now he just picked it all off, even getting the medevacs to kind of put the final nail in the coffin. But there is a Hellbat force heading towards the natural that could do some serious
So
stuff
Pride
too.
needs to not send everything home to deal with this. He needs to attack. He needs to take advantage of the fact that he just obliterated Sabre's army, but instead he sends his entire army home to deal with just 7 Hellbats. And this is a lot of time. I mean, Sabre's gonna get to Remax in the meantime, and now I'm not liking Pride's position again because
No.
he's got.
The thing is too, he moved all his workers before those Hellbats got there, so they couldn't even do that much damage. So even if they were left unchecked for a bit, I mean, Hellbats, they're not going to demolish your buildings very quickly. At least not 7 of them.
No. That was a sacrifice. It really was. He just went, well, I've got these Hellbats. If I throw away 700 minerals of these resources, I get to stay alive and maybe win the game. And 4 of Sabre's battlecruisers just finished. He's got 4 more now in production. He's got a lot of battlecruisers on the way. Where?
Is that Pride anticipated this and has all those Vikings
Yeah.
away, but he has no upgrades for them. He only has +1.
True.
And if he was expecting this, I'd love to, because these are 3/3 battle cruisers. Again, like Pride.
He left all his medevacs behind.
Left half. Is he trading them away?
No,
No, I actually think he is.
he's
I
making
actually.
Marines and Marauders.
He does have a lot of money.
Okay, I'm being generous then. I don't know why in that case. He's got a lot of Vikings in production too, so perhaps it was to a certain extent to free up supply. He does still have some medevacs left, but only 4 medevacs at this point, and the battlecruiser force is nearly at the base. Vikings are coming across that.
He needs to take his ground army and attack a different base. One of his expansions, because they're useless right now.
All right, well, here's
anything.
where Pride can make a nice stance, because he did anticipate this, so he has these Vikings. He's going to pick the fight, and then he should begin kiting with these Vikings as soon as... Yeah, now he's going to group them up and begin kiting. Really nice, and I like that he's got the weapon upgrades. He needs to make sure, as he kites this, he keeps making Vikings.
And one of the most
Retreating is a bad idea on Sabre. There's no way you can... Well, he brought the 1 battlecruiser back to take the damage, to slow down the Vikings. But Vikings are faster than battlecruisers, but that was a smart play by him.
Sabre was actually really greedy. He got the Behemoth reactor before he got Yamato cannon, which is crazy greedy. And it means that in that engagement, he didn't have the Yamato cannon to deal with those Vikings and actually lost a fair few battlecruisers.
There's also a lockdown here on the bottom planetary fortress for Pride. It's being cleaned up now by infantry, though. But it did lock it down for a little while.
Yes. Even with all of this failed aggression that Sabre's been deploying, he still seems a lot stronger at this point. Not just because of his army composition, but because he has every base on his half of the map. I mean, Pride does too, but it's different. It doesn't feel as secure. We've got those center towers up for Sabre. I feel like attacking into Sabre is incredibly difficult because the only safe route is right down the middle, and Sabre knows that, so it's not a safe route. Whereas attacking Pride, it can be anywhere. It doesn't matter because he doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the real control of the map that his opponent does.
You know, it's funny. This might, if it goes on long enough, turn into a resource war because Sabre has used up all the the top side of his side, so the northeast side of the map. All the resources. He has 2 base left with resources, but Pride still has the gold, and he still has his 2 bottom resources, mineral lines here. Although it is being attacked right now. Being
You know, I
flanked
actually
by the
really like that engagement there.
Yeah.
That was not a bad engagement for Pride at all. With as
Great
many
engagement.
Vikings as he has, he's able to take pretty smart fights. And Sabre's trying to bait his opponent into the Widow Mines and get the good splash off on the Vikings more than anything. And it could work, but they're going from the bio instead.
They do, but the Yamato's doing work on the Vikings. The Vikings
Yeah.
really want to start kiting now, and they could actually get the rest of these battle cruisers off.
It's just kind of
Nice.
working out. Yeah, Pride's kind of making this work. He can get another battle cruiser if he focus fires, and he really should focus fire, doing great damage to some of them. And if Sabre heals these up, I think Sabre's going to heal these up. And Pride could have had both of those, which would have been significant losses to his opponent. Don't engage with Marines. No, never fight battle cruisers with Marines. Uh-oh. Okay, so pretty serious losses there to the Marine forces, but the Vikings are still kiting away, doing the damage that they can. I think Pride has failed to focus fire to a pretty significant extent during these engagements. It's been really problematic for him.
Alright, so 6 Vikings at a time, 7 battle cruisers at a time. But notably, this top right base did stop mining in the meantime. Pride just needs to keep pumping out Vikings, throw down some PDDs, or get some Ravens for PDDs, rather, as well. And right now, he is winning that War of Attrition, that the mineral count. His resources lost is substantially less than Sabre's right now. So he could win this if it becomes a resource battle like Carbot was talking about.
Sabre has been shutting down some mineral lines, like top and bottom. But, I mean, shutting them down isn't enough. He needs to grab them.
Okay.
Oh, for well, yeah, I thought that was going to be okay, and then 2
He
Vikings
didn't
died.
kill the last one. He left 1 Widow Mine.
Uh-oh. How many Vikings do we have on the map right now? 15 Vikings for Pride in and around the map. And that number just went up to 19. And he's going to need every single one of those because that's a lot of battle cruisers for Sabre pushing towards that probably sick base. Yamatoing down the
Yeah,
TF.
Pride noticed that, though, even before like the Yamato started firing. That was a really good observation.
This is going to be perhaps a game-deciding fight. There's so many Vikings there, but they should be able to beat this many battle cruisers if the focus fire is good. He just has to make sure he gets it absolutely right. So many battle cruisers have died up now. There's only 5 remaining, and we're down to nearly 4 at this point. Where's the focus fire? Here they come. There we go. Another one. 3 battle cruisers remain on the map to 7 Vikings that we see. Possibly 8. I may not be able to count. And he's going to fire away, kiting as best he can against them, but again, just by the skin of his teeth, Sabre wins the engagement, even as he counterattacks into the natural.
Yeah, that's the
Actually
biggest problem here.
surprisingly close.
Like,
Yeah,
he's
he's
not,
got great Vikings.
he's not attacking, rather, he's not mining. Pride is having a really hard time bringing in money. 40 minerals a minute right now. Like, he has no money. Like, he's not making Vikings. He can't make anything right now. This is the army that Pride has. If he doesn't stabilize with this very quickly, if he doesn't get mining again, like in the bottom bottom corner, he's not mining. Like, he needs to start mining right now so he can keep making Vikings, so he can fight the next push from Sabre that's going to look just like the last 2, except this time he's going to have Ravens as well.
Yeah, these SCVs need to start mining right now. They're just kind of huddled around this command center at the bottom here. Still not doing anything. There's a bunch of SCVs going to the gold, but I think they'll start going to the closest landed command center because that one, the orbital's going up there, isn't going to land until after they're gone.
Yeah, Pride has to take the fight of his life to win this. He's going to have to just... Everything's got to be perfect from now on, and kiting with... It's not enough! No, kiting against those Yamato cannons just isn't enough because it's range 10 to the range 9 of the Vikings. So many of those are going to go down in this engagement, and the Ravens are only going to assist in matters with the Seeker missiles. I was actually going to go off there, but this engagement is looking very, very dangerous for Pride. As he backs away, he's got no money to remax. Could this be the end?
It absolutely
It's
could
slow.
right now. I
His
mean,
army's slow, so if he has enough time, but could be.
Yeah.
he has time, but he doesn't have money right now, and that is just gonna spell it, I think, man. How's he gonna make anything to deal with these forces? He didn't have the minerals to produce what he needed.
I guess those were kind of mana mules. Saber's taking the gold minerals off his opponent, just making really sure that he can't mine anything else. And the battle cruisers are moving towards the base of Pride, doing.
This is it. In the bottom expansion here, the Widow Mines have again locked down the mineral lines, so that's not going to be mining too much either. So he really has no income, or at least very little.
Sabre is. I mean, it's 194 supply to 49 for Pride. Pride is clinging to life as desperately as he can, as we've seen Sabre do before. But just like when Sabre does it, usually I don't think it's gonna pay off. He's got these Vikings, but the micro it's almost impossible to be good enough.
He's still not dealing with these Widow Mines down here. His only mining base.
Yeah, the Widow Mines have definitely been given a lot of trouble all game, and that's something that Sabre definitely took note of in that other game, and he's using it really, really well to his effect here.
Yeah, there isn't a single Widow Mine in that whole cluster down there, except for the one that's most kind of northeasterly, that doesn't have any kills. All of them have at least 2. And in the north itself, Pride's trying to beat the battlecruiser army, but he's got as many Vikings as his opponent has battlecruisers, and I think the Yamatos. No, actually, not enough energy for the Yamatos yet. There's one. Another Viking will go down from that. Sabre can just control the space as just perfectly. He's got Ravens, which do the job. He's got battlecruisers, which can do the job against Vikings. Pride's microing his heart out, and I'm not sure that even with his heart, it's going to be enough.
Yeah, those Yamato cannons seal the deal, I think.
They kind of have to. Marines don't work against battle cruisers really ever, and that is it. That is it.
GG.
GG. We may have, we've reached the video limit. Hang on. Restart the cameras. But yeah, that's it. That's the end. That was the ASL Premier League finals, and that means we have our champion. It is the champion for 2 seasons in a row, Sabre, God himself, living up to his name. His Holiness takes the tournament.